more Italian planes than
Yeah.
some of these. Like these are gonna be cool. They have cool ideas, but I don't know. Or like Italy had some cool tanks, but most of the tree is gonna be comprised, in my opinion, of like German tanks or American
There's going to
tanks.
be a couple of Panzer fours, isn't there?
Yeah, probably some Panzer fours.
There's
E40.
With,
going to be.
they're gonna just look
E40
cooler.
Mark, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you and Oxy were super hyped on the. I don't know what line it is, but the aircraft. It's like a fusion between like the BF-109 and the Spitfire. Like a really good aircraft. I think it's the RE line will just do
RE
better.
2006
Yeah.
is the one that I'm thinking of, and
Yeah,
this
it's
thing is
super fast.
fucking cool.
It's like a plane from 1943. It was developed in 43, so it's really,
Yeah,
really.
it doesn't have much information on Wikipedia. Let me see if I can find that
No, they didn't
earlier.
make many of them at all.
So here's the
You have that like
2005 though,
the
and
RE also used like the similar engine as like the I think the G14, the 109. So it's gonna be pretty damn
Mhm.
good.
yeah, let's take a look at this. They have well, this one was made in 1941. So like a project started in 1941. Airframe was ready in 1942. It's a cool looking aircraft. It does kind of look like a 109 and like one of those MC 202s or something had a baby.
Yeah, that's like
It's a
the
good looking
that's like
aircraft.
it's not the last one made though. Like there's one after that. Just it's
Thanks,
super
Apex.
good.
Yeah, no, they have a 2006 and a 2007, but there's not much information on them. Guys are gonna probably add those too, I would assume, if they're gonna add this.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see technical
I can remember
design.
in like IL-2 1946 or whatever. Like it's just like a super light airframe. It's holds its energy real well. It's a real powerful engine.
Yeah,
Its
let's see.
armament's
So it's
decent,
a
but it's
license built DB605A1 engine. Let's see what that. It's Daimler Benz. So yeah.
yeah.
So it used a 109 engine.
Well, they had a domestic engine as well. I think in like the one after it, but yeah, like they couldn't obviously like Germany couldn't produce like enough engines for them, so they had to produce their own.
Three 151s and two Brettas on it. Speed never exceeded speed. What does that mean? I guess
That's
maximum
the
It's there
speed.
for
speed.
them
That,
to
that's
take.
the speed that the plane falls apart. Yeah.
All right, well 980 is the speed it falls apart, which is pretty fucking fast.
Oh,
Cruise
yeah.
speed is 515 and max speed 628 at 22,000 feet. It's pretty crazy.
But again, it's like
20 meter
gonna
per
have to be
second
lighter.
rate of climb. Yeah, they could carry some bombs too. Hard point for 1,000 kilogram bomb or a drop tank.
160 kilograms.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Like you got to treat it like a Spitfire. Like that's kind of how it's gonna handle, but just a
Probably it'll
little
probably
better.
turn better. Let's see what the 2007 if this one
No, it
is.
won't turn better than the Spitfire, but it's definitely faster.
Oh, so the 2007 was like a planned plane. It was a jet.
Now there's one between it. It's like a 2000. Like you get like it's 2006 dash like 1, 2, 3. Like I forgot find the prototype, but yeah, it was essentially just dash whatever the Italians did.
It's pretty dope. These would be cool. Nothing's better than a Spitfire. I doubt that. What are these?
Either way, they'll be better than the aircraft that like the Italian tree currently has, like which are already really competitive.
Yeah, they are. A lot of the Italian aircraft are really good in this game.
I really don't have much experience with the Italian tree myself.
They're really good. The only thing that they suffer from is they don't have anything at the top end. Because like the G91's good, but it's like in that 8.0 weird BR range where you go against 9.0s, you can outturn them, but they all outspeed you. And then if you get into a 7.0 game, you just dominate everything. It's really, really good plane. It's unstable. I think Oxy would agree with me on
Yeah,
that. Like it's
pretty
unstable.
unstable.
It's really, really finicky. Yeah, G55S definitely is one of the best premium fighters in the game. I don't know if I'd say it's the best, but the G55, the G56, and the G55S, those three planes alone are like some of the best dogfighters in the game.
But
Even the
these
low
regalia will
tunes.
give you like that. They'll give you that 5.7, 6.3 like BR range. That
Yeah.
I think.
Because what's the highest they have right now? 5.7 with the G56?
I
Or
think
is it
so.
I think so.
5.3?
Yeah.
It
I
might,
think it's 5.7.
Yeah.
But I think those high-powered planes are really needed actually, because in Air RB at the moment, especially with Germany, you know, 6-3 is so popular with the Allies, with the Griffins, the Mustang, and the Bearcat. Germany don't really have anything because their props stop at 5. I think their jets start at 6-7. So you know they're going to need something to actually be functional.
Yeah, and
It's not
they don't care about
well
prototypes.
yeah.
They'll
Not
add
to
'em.
say that the German planes struggle at that VR. Like the K4 is still super capable. They probably need a little bit of support, I think.
I've been saying for a long time, like you need like a super prop, like just matchmaker, where you have like a 5.7 to 6.3, maybe 6.7, like with some props. Like that'd be a lot. It's no fun fighting jets in any prop, but obviously these will fight jets. Like what was that? What's that USSR plane they had last patch?
Oh, the I-225.
I-225.
Have you guys played that at all, or?
Only on the dev server when it was broken. I don't know.
haven't played it since it
Yeah.
was fixed.
No.
Yeah, I'll have to try it soon. It looks like a good plane. I've seen like one or two in the game. I'm looking right now. It says they operated G12s. I think that would be cool. Instead of adding like the same 109 that we already have in the game for the Italians, like put something at least a little different, even if it's just a number and it's not really that big of a difference. I think it'd be
Add
cool.
like a new camo for it and everything. Yeah, that'd be dope.
Well, they have the G14 already, which has a really sick camo. And I actually like it better than the G14 in the German tree just because it has cool ass camo.
Yeah.
I forgot his name, but there was one like Skinner who made like the actual like northern Italy camo and whatnot, and like if you flew over like the Italian map, like it actually camouflaged with the background. It was pretty. Like I think Italy has some of the best aircraft camos by far.
Yeah,
in World War One, they went ham.
Some of them look a little throw uppy, but you know, there pretty good.
What are you fucking in Legoland, dude? Like, why'd you make that? No, but yeah.
Yeah, they're hiding in
Very
Minecraft. They have this 2004 is good too. See, they added the 2001, I believe. The RE 2001 or 2000 is in the game. Like a super low tier.
Yeah, they added
2000
variants.
Series 1 and 2000 GA.
This one has 151-20s and Brettas. And it can go 620, which is pretty fast. It's 2004.
What helos are the Italians gonna get?
Okay, let me look up Italian helicopters.
Gazelles, probably. Without knowing, I would say it would be a gazelle.
We'll see. They can kind of get away with like making one or two helicopters, like just introducing one or two and adding different variants. Like you see that with the bow. Like they have a MiG, or not a MiG, Hind for Germany, and then they have the bows, and then they have like that one French helicopter, and then a Huey. Like they're all in the game already, aside from the bow and that French helicopter. They'd probably do something similar, I'd guess.
I think so. Yeah, you're right.
I want to see a
That
link.
makes sense.
Augusta Westlands, they would have.
Augusta Westlands. Yeah, these are pretty cool.
Augusta Westlands, yeah, like AW249.
What could these
When was
carry?
like the Euro Tiger introduced?
Lynxes, they will get Lynxes, like the Brits will get Lynxes, actually, I didn't think of that.
Yeah, it's Brits selling the helicopter, so yeah, I don't think Italy's gonna get it right now. But
Again.
This thing would be cool. The Curti Zephyr. Solid. You could
Cool name. Not
you
gonna-
can carry some bombs. Well, let's hear it. Italian helicopters. Oh, the Augusta A129 Mangusta. This actually looks kind of like a Eurocopter. I didn't know this existed.
I love the Euro Tiger. Dude. That's
It's called the
such a sick looking
Mongoose.
helicopter.
It's an attack helicopter produced by the Italian company Augusta.
Pretty cool.
1980. It's actually really cool looking, I'm not going to lie. This would be a cool helicopter to add. See, I think... I don't know. They should add more helicopters. What do we have? We have like the AH-1Z. I really thought they were going to add the Apache before that.
I don't know, because the Apache has Hellfires, and the guidance system for
it's-
Hellfires is a little bit more complicated than just point and
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's true. But when do they care about realism, you know what I'm saying? This is powered by two Rolls-Royce Gem 2 turboshaft engines. It's probably pretty fast.
Well, they already modeled the Apache in with the April Fool's event, so it's it's there. It's just not being
What
used.
was the what'd they use
Yeah,
for
but if they
Russia
actually
now?
introduce the Hellfire,
They just used the Hind, right?
Yeah, Hind. Yeah, I think it's
Super Hind.
MI35. Like
When was the
War
Havoc
Fighters.
made? The Mi-28?
Oh, 28. Good question.
Because we have the 35. I would assume the 28 was before the 35, right?
1982
Um,
and 35 was
I'm trying to see what. So this thing could go
1972. No,
278.
I would love them to like the KA50 or whatever is 52.
MI35 is 2005.
This had
When was the
a
KA50 introduced? Like that dual prop one. Had to be in the late 80s, right?
yeah what's that called? The crocodile?
Crocodile, yeah.
Oh yeah, of course you'd bring
Oh, the
that up.
KA52 is the twin seat one. KA50 is the one.
This used Hellfires or BGM 71 tows, which we already have in the game, I think. Right?
Sweet.
So yeah, I guess they could add this. This would be a cool helicopter to add. It looks very similar to the Tiger.
I will say though, like the Apache was super overpowered during the April Fool's event.
Was it?
Yeah.
Havoc is a 1980 design, but entered service in 1990. Yeah, they probably wouldn't add that then. I still think I think that I don't know.
MI35 is more recent.
Yeah. Which I don't know. Is the Havoc that much better? I don't think it's like. I'm sure the Mi-35 is probably better. Well, this would be a cool. What do you guys think for? Let's just talk about other helicopters that they could add for like Britain. I'm not very well versed on helicopters. Obviously, I know like the Hueys and the
Britain?
Cobras and stuff. Yeah.
Britain will have a lot of Lynxes with Milans and stuff.
What about the Eurocopter?
We don't use it.
No.
No, Britain uses the Apache.
I wonder
Well, yeah,
why.
they use their own like domestic version of the Apache.
Well, we use an Apache that we put a different radar system on, basically.
But they could add a Tiger. That'd be pretty cool, unique.
They should
Helicopter?
put it down. I thought Germany was going to get one.
Is that what they also used?
So they replaced the bows with Eurotiger.
It's a cool looking helicopter too. It looks very similar to the one that we were just looking at. But I'm sure it has enough. Yeah, Germany. It says Germany.
It's
uses
now
it.
made by Airbus.
They're pretty cool. Oh, the Spanish Army. Look at that camo. It's pretty tight.
That is cool.
Looks like that American late war camo that nobody should ever use. You know the one I mean for the Abrams?
Yeah.
Yeah. This would carry 68 Snebs and Hydras. That's pretty cool.
This is just rockets on helicopters in this game aren't particularly useful, is it?
No, but I mean,
It's alright at Gamescom when you're flying over like rando tanks and launching rockets into them, but actually applying those rockets in game is just not particularly useful.
I'm just going off the principle of what we already have. So we have helicopters that have that. So,
Yeah,
adding something like this,
absolutely.
even if it's from the 90s, isn't unreasonable, I don't think.
But at the same time,
How
like,
fast
using
could it
options
go?
on a helicopter right,
290.
like, right away, so it's not that bad.
I just don't want to get excited about rockets, dude.
Snebs on a chopper? Groundbreaking technology here.
But roof guns on a tank? Groundbreaking technology.
I'm just more interested in seeing some variety in helicopters.
Hmm.
I think that'd be cool. I like the look of this too. Let me
I'm
look up
loving the
the...
amount of tears coming off people about helicopters, to be honest.
No one's very happy about them at the moment.
Oh my god, sitting at 4 kilometers away. However will I reach them in my fucking plane?
See, the Havoc
But it's-
looks cool. I think it looks cooler than the Hind. It's beefy.
Well, do you think like their BR should be lowered in at least aircraft, just to counter the helicopters?
No.
You think helicopter? Are you asking if helicopters should be lowered or?
No, like planes.
He means the
planes
spawn
themselves.
point of planes, I guess.
Oh, no. I don't think they're that big of an issue.
You can have 5 helicopters and 1 plane, and the 1 plane, if it's flown with a remotely competent pilot, will kill every
Well,
single
it
one of those
depends.
helicopters that are being shot.
It depends what helicopter you're fighting. If they're all an AH-1Gs or Hueys, of course. But if it's an AH-1Z, that thing will kill planes, no doubt. So will the Mi-35. Those guns are no joke because you can just sit and look like you're shooting missiles, and the plane will come in straight at you, not really understanding that you're aiming at them the whole time, because the helicopter's stationary, but you can move the gun with your mouse.
It's
So-
not more of a pilot issue than it is like a
I mean,
aircraft design issue.
Like what I'm saying is a well-flown plane can kill every chopper on the map.
true.
So if you look at the spawn points, you just make it impossible to fly heli.
Check that. Airfer Arite. Hold on, let me grab that from chat. About to check this out. This is apparently an Italian jet prototype, which would probably be cool.
Which is the one.
Oh, that is cool.
was the first jet they ever made that
Yeah.
traveled like as slow as a biplane.
Is this it?
I don't think
Yeah.
it's
Oh
that
no,
one.
this can go 1,000. Yeah, I know what you're talking about though. They made like the first. I'm pretty sure the first jet or something was like
Yeah, they
did,
Italian,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it was like trash. It just showed that they
The
had an
worst.
engine.
It was a very slow boy. One thing they should add, or at least focus on adding, is the Italian float planes, like the S-55. Like that's so cool. The
Yes.
engine, like out of the fuselage and stuff. Like I'm a big fan of that.
Let's
And
look
he
up
had the
the-
Capricorni Stipa. You guys know what that is?
Oh, this thing is cool. I know. I like know this plane, but I didn't know what it was called. This thing's fucking dope.
It's so cool, right? Carry bombs and torpedoes as well. I think.
It looks like that one Russian float plane they added for the event.
The MBR.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
It looks like two Sunderlands glued together, kind of,
Yeah. In a weird, gross way.
with the windows on the side.
Oh, and they don't even have a
happens if you leave your
cockpit.
phone in the one bit and then you go to bed in the other bit. How are you going to get it back?
They don't even have a cockpit. It looks like you can go through the wings because there's a little windshield on the wings too.
It's cool.
If you look at like 19,
Imagine if that's where the pilot says.
Right
in
underneath
front of that
the
engine.
engine. You're like, you have to stay low, or else, imagine he stands up. He's like, oh, I think I see somebody. The prop chops him. Oh man, we lost. We lost
Hey,
him again.
Garibaldi, looks like you need to trim your mustache. Stands up.
Giuseppe got a
Hey, much
haircut.
better.
Giuseppe got a haircut.
Giuseppe,
The Mi-26.
stop being sloppy.
Let's see how much they cost right now. I'm gonna buy an Mi-26.
Doubt.
You can no joke buy a MiG-15 for like I think it's like 30 grand.
I
Depending,
too
it's gonna
love.
be
I
expensive.
too love crashing and dying. Yeah.
This is IFR certified and equipped. It's in St. Petersburg, Russia. We can go buy one. When are we gonna do a crowdfunding?
Real talk,
Request.
like how could you like do you
It's only
really
got
need to
43
step into and
landings.
operate it, or
Would
could you
I?
actually operate that if you could step into it? Like would you operate it, or
No.
I'd Google it.
Yeah, I'd go on. I'd be like, wait for the DCS to come out of the Mi-26. What would be the point of that in War Thunder though? It's not really like a. The Campini is that jet.
check that plane out?
Yeah, that's the one that's the slowest shit jet. The Camproni. They should add this though for the memes.
What's its actual
Oh, it's
top
Camproni.
speed?
Yeah, it's trash. Hold on, I gotta see the top speed. It's funny. 375 kph. Like that's
Jesus Christ.
look at it. It looks like looks like a sausage. It does really look like a sausage.
Camproni made like
sauce.
probably the worst aircraft of all time.
Looks like something you find in your mom's nightstand. It's
I was
gross.
gonna say they made that thing that looks like a barrel as well, but you've already linked it. I mean,
Is this lighting
Yeah,
somebody
they
on
made
fire?
that thing,
Oh,
yeah.
that barrel with the inside of the plane itself is actually
yeah,
open.
the steeper.
It could be a 4.0 jet. That would be cool. I don't
What the
mind
fuck
that.
happened there? Did they take the tail off?
Yeah, it looks like it's. I don't know what's going on. There's it flying. Look at that. They actually got a picture of it. It was so slow. That's crazy. It's a. I mean, they should add it. Like, why not? Right? Did it
Horses
have
are
any?
running it.
No, because somebody would learn.
That's-
how
that
to
horse
actually
statue is
use it
outrunning
with
it.
a degree of competency, and then everyone would go, "Oh, this is terrible."
Yeah, but it's fun. It's memes. Add it as a premium. I don't give a fuck. I
Yeah,
think
but
it-
they
the
would have to
X-17
introduce it with a
was like,
low
oh, it's so funny.
VR.
yeah, like 4.0. It can only go
Yeah, and then
370.
people would be like, "Oh my god, a jet of 4.0."
Yeah, but those people, it goes 375. Like, what people are gonna argue against it?
It was unarmed though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but they could bend
Just put
the
the
was
bread
that
of
horror?
fat
Who
on it.
cares?
It's basically unarmed
Some gun,
anyway.
yeah.
They ought to
Some
bend
gun.
the rules. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, you put a bread of 50 cal on it, it'll be unarmed anyway.
Just give the pilot a pistol. He's going slow enough to aim it. Okay, that's pretty funny. Here, I got a segue topic that we could talk about because all these things are cool. Oh, wait, actually, did France have any helicopters?
Eurocopter Tiger, Alouettes. It can have links as well.
Damn, I butchered French. French helicopters. Not necessarily 1960, but yeah, they could have this thing. Well, I guess they could have the first German helicopter too. Of course, they actually made that. Helicopter manufacturers of France. See, I don't. French helicopters. Here we go. Let's do 1980 to 1989. They had the Panther. That thing's hot. They should add that. It looks a lot like a Lynx. I think it's just like an evolution of the Lynx. Yeah, that thing's fucking dope.
Similar.
Yeah. I love these choppers.
They look really cool.
I wish we just didn't even have to, like, the chopper only mode wasn't PvP and we got to do cool shit. I want to be like a Coast Guard. Go lift people off sinking boats and shit.
What's that Hilo game there? That's it's like a World of Warships, but just with helicopters.
Helleborn.
Yeah, dude, it's pretty.
Really
like
good,
that's what. That's
apparently.
Yeah, it's pretty
yeah,
fun.
that's what Thunder should have been.
Yeah, it's exactly what they should have done. This thing's pretty cool.
Trap off some troops, like complete some missions, do all that.
Let's see. Let's see what they have from 90 to 99. The Colibri. Wow, that thing's hot. They have anything that has any weapons? Just Eurocopters,
Sure, the
I
Euro
guess.
Tiger.
Yeah, they could probably just carry him. What is this, though? It has no pictures. It's a small UAV helicopter. How about
Is it actually
1977?
like? Is it actually like World of Warplanes or whatever, but with helicopters?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. You
Kinda,
get infantry,
yeah.
you can drop them off, you get a cap points.
It's
What is
really
this
cool.
thing? When are they adding this, please?
Yeah, like instead of like nations like lines with aircraft or ships or whatever, it's just all helicopters. That's what they should have done. Like, it
See,
should have been like a TV type thing.
that's a really cool idea. Anti-sub helicopter game mode. That's a really cool idea to think about because like they added the subs already. Imagine if we didn't have boats, but we had like the boat game mode was the subs that we played, like the Typhoon and shit, versus helicopters. How fucking cool would that be? You could even have the patrol boats.
Yeah, I'm sure like bow fighters can drop depth charges and spot ships and stuff. That's the whole kind of the point, isn't it? They both coastal patrol.
Yeah.
When the PBY comes into its own, dude, when you're hunting helicopters or hunting sub, the only time it's actually useful.
So onto the segue topic, tank only game mode. We talked about game modes last week, but let's talk about game modes that are really easy to like probably make, right? I don't code. None of us fucking code, to my knowledge. I couldn't make War Thunder, but some of the game modes that we talk about, it probably requires quite a few months to like implement. But something like a tank only game mode, how hard do you think it would be for them to implement something like that?
Trivial.
Yeah, and I don't want
It's a matter of 30 minutes of coding.
So this is the big thing that everybody says, and I really disagree with this. I think something like that would bring more people in than it would split, but everybody says whenever you bring up, oh, let's make a game mode, it'll be like, it's gonna split the player base. Don't split the player base.
Like early sim didn't have aircraft, and that's why like a lot of tank players went to
Yeah.
sim initially, just because there was no air threat, right? Like it was like, I'm gonna log into sim, yeah, like it's a different perspective, but let's be honest, it's the same as RB. It just it just has like a different kind of feel, but the main selling point was there was no aircraft, and then they introduced like a full real sim, and then it kind of just became what it is today. But yeah, like you had like a larger player base in sim than you do now, just because there was no aircraft. Like yeah, you would have a good game mode, but it would kill RB. I think.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. See, I think that I like ground forces how it is, but I think there's too many options, which splits the player base already. Because we have 6 different game modes that you can play for any given
Yeah,
thing.
this is. I was going to mention
So,
splitting the player base. Like, there's a
Air,
lot.
like ARB's dead right now, right?
Yeah.
So what if this is a crazy idea, and this is going to take me a second to get all of what I'm trying to say out, but what if they deleted ARB and made events every day, 2 of them that were air based, like Flight of the Swallows and stuff. We talked about that last week. Just took out ARB altogether. Then there was RB ground forces, right? AB ground or AB tanks, which have planes in them, but they're call-ins. And then you had no sim planes. You had a sim combined, and then a sim tank only, and then an RB tank only, which would remove ARB from the rotation, and made sim. I don't know. I like the events for sim too. I like how that's structured now. I just wish there was more change in them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. More variation, at least. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, we don't know. They don't tell you what's coming up, what days like you're gonna have what, regardless, which is kind of annoying. I wish they gave you a schedule. Like, hey, this is what it's gonna be: tier 6, tier 5, tier 4. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I would like sim events again. I miss the sim events. I remember there was one on Normandy, so it was like you
They
could,
were really good.
yeah, you could play. It was, I think, Tigers, Panthers, which are scary, versus like M10s and Shermans. But you would get more Shermans and stuff on the team. And I remember playing missions like that, and it was only on a specific map. It'd be like the fight of Norway, or it'd be like, you know, I think there was one on. I don't know. I can't really actually remember. There's one on a different map that I like remember playing. It was like with Russia. They had Kursk, I think. So things like that. Do you guys like events?
And that'll be really good. People like it as well, I think. Just knowing what they're going to be facing, like there's no up tiers or anything, and I think people really like that. Like, years and years ago when I started playing the game properly, probably like 2014, they had like every day they had a new event, like an AirRB event.
Yeah.
It would be on a set map with set vehicles, and it would fluctuate. So if it was like G2s versus LA5s, the Russians would get a few more just to, because the Germans would have objectively better aircraft, and it was like a bit of a challenge. Like you felt good when you won on the Russian side, and you got the lower numbers on the German side, and there's a lot of I think there's a lot of fun to be had there as well. It's really I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I was quite disappointed when they took it out, really.
Yeah, but the problem is like you're always gonna have people who find the min max and they find what's best, and that's all they're ever gonna play. Like they'll just exploit it, and it kind of just ruins those events.
Those sorts of things they change on the people aren't really going to dedicate that much time to it. And even so, they were balanced in such a way that it was either numbers or the tech, and it worked like that. There was never like completely imbalanced ever, really. I don't remember an instance where it was awful.
Yeah, I think like the events would be even easier to sell if they added a unique reward for the events, right? Like you win five, like maybe you get more RP, or it's easier to grind the planes when you're playing a plane event, or you get unique decals if you win 5 games with the Russians in an event where the Germans are better, arguably, right? Even if they make the whole, different amount of players on each team. Odd brought up a good point talking about, do you guys like taking off from the airfield?
Nah.
Do you know, I just took off. Like I'm messing around in Italian planes while we're having this conversation, and the thought came to mind that initial, say, 2 minutes of climbing, if they just made it arcade-wise, if they just made it arcade-wise and made everyone go twice the speed they normally would for 2 minutes, all you would do is, remove some time at the start of the match. You would still get to the same sort of positions and all this sort of stuff. It would just take less time.
I
just put the first few minutes on fast forward.
That's an
They
From a
had
interesting.
gameplay standpoint, that would, I think, from a gameplay standpoint, that would work. But I don't think people would react well to it. But
Yeah,
it would,
no.
it would fix
No,
it.
but it would resolve the problem.
It
Yeah.
would. It definitely would.
I
Because
would.
that's the thing. It's like the the main thing I think. Well, not really the main thing, but one of the big things that kind of puts people off ARB is that in every single instance, really, unless you're diving for a campfire bomb point, there's about 5 minutes of doing nothing. And if you want to have like a better chance of fighting the enemy, like being above them,
You
that
got to
can go up
spend
to
that
like,
time. Yeah, you
yeah.
could spend
And it's like
10
that's
minutes.
not what's enjoyable about that. Like and even then you can spend like 8 minutes climbing, like not doing anything away from the
The
map,
entire enemy
padding
team
out and stuff.
fucking weed
And then
whacked. Yeah.
there's like a 4-man squad above you, and it's like, well, what was the point? That can't. It just pushes people away,
I
like
At
with
the same
good
time,
reason.
like you have to like people who like that, like the strategic like element of ARB and they like climbing and all that, like
they should
they're
play
gonna
sim.
complain about that kind of.
No
No, I
one
agree.
really enjoys that, really.
I
I don't
mean,
think
Yeah,
anyone,
probably true. But
that's
what's that game?
that's not.
Bomber dads definitely do.
yeah.
What's that game mode they added like three years ago that it was like a ARB, but it was like you guys started like equal elevation, like
Well,
I think
it
it's like
was
3,000
air
kilometers,
battle
whatever.
or something. So that was gonna be my that's my fix for that. I think if
Yeah.
so, Flight of the Swallows. I always come back to that because it's like my favorite event that they
Yes.
ever held. You would spawn at like 4 and 5K. The Germans would spawn a little higher. I think if not to make it equal, but if planes got a very unique altitude spawn and speed wise, like away from each other. So you were kind of like maybe 10 kilometers, not 10's kind of close, maybe like 15 kilometers away from each other in an air spawn. And you're already at pretty much optimal altitude. You can climb more from there or dive, depending on what you're doing. I think that'd be pretty cool for ARB. And like, I know a lot of people like bombers, or at least a lot of loud people like bombers. They talk a lot about it, and whenever you say anything about like removing bombers, they come out of the woodworks. And I don't have a problem with people playing bombers, but in terms of ARB and fighting planes on planes, it's really boring for everybody else that doesn't like bombers to have bombers in that game mode. That because they don't really affect the game. They've been doing the same thing essentially for 5 years, which is bombing 3 bases and then attempting to bomb the other base if they don't get shredded already, or you're going to be the last ones alive and you die. And it's a detriment to your fighters who spawn in and they're like, wow, we have a full squad of bombers. That's 4 fighters we could have had, and the other team doesn't have any bombers. Just stuff like that, I think, ruins the gameplay.
For me, like we play ARB like what every couple months. Like we try to get into it, and like you get targeted, dismiss your name, that whole thing. But it's to me like what's super detrimental to like ARB is like the whole running aspect, right? Like it's in that guy's best interest to never get caught, to keep climbing and just get away and just use all his fuel and never be shot. Like right, like that's how you win. It's
Yeah.
it's crappy, right? But you could be like 6 versus 1 that guy. Like you could actually win the win that quote unquote battle. But now you have to chase this guy down, and his aircraft is better at altitudes than you, so like you have no chance of kind of offsetting like his advantage. Like I think with ARB, like I think Gaijin should like take into account like how many aircraft you have. If you have like 4 aircraft to their 1 and they're just running, I think your ticket should bleed at like a slower rate, and like your
That's another
ground
thing.
troops
Like,
should be like your ground troops should like have just like quote unquote work better than the enemies. Like you should be taking like ground objectives that you really can't influence. Like that's kind of like that's how they could balance people who run away.
And they
But
do sort of have that already with the armored cars that spawn, just the vehicles that spawn at the end of the match. Like I don't know if you've actually played the game in the last few years, but
Ooh.
after about like 20-25 minutes, these like 3 like sets of vehicles spawn, and so they can be destroyed with like MGs, and they cut about 200-300 tickets off. And they added that to fix people running, because someone's running and hiding in space. Like, well, just fly down
yeah.
and destroy these ground targets, and you'll probably by that point drain the rest of the tickets, and that that does win a fair few matches.
You're already 25 minutes in at that point, though.
Yeah.
And like the RP gain for 25 minutes in a match, I think is not that good. It might be better now. I think
They
like
remove the cap.
scrapping the current ARB and introducing the newest iteration of RBEC was really fun. Like I really enjoyed that.
If I may opine,
Yep.
something that is this never really gets discussed, but like the sort of base premise of two teams spawning on airfields and then claiming and fighting each other is not really historically.
No, yeah,
established.
that was my whole idea on just giving people air spawns, and you're fighting in a
So-
real situation. Like the fighter squadrons would climb. They're not fighting within 15 kilometers of each other.
Like I would, it's easy enough to have two different groups of fighters spawn at say 5 kilometers or at a neutral altitude, because that's the altitude they would be cruising at towards the combat, whatever it be. And if there's bombers, spawn them in and have them marked and so on and so forth and give the objectives. But the fighters would not be claiming, scrambling, both teams scrambling towards each other at the start of a match is not how things work. It's not
Yeah.
how it happens.
Now, of course, there's a fine line between like realism and fun,
Yeah,
but
let's be honest, that Battlebird, man, is fucking awful.
that map, the Boulogne-sur-Mer, yeah, if they made that map an EC map with no markers, and it was a jump in, drop out match, right? Like, so like you jump in, you play for 30 minutes. The battle's not over yet, but you got to go, and you leave. You still get the RP for that 30 minutes. If they made it a system like that, so you didn't have to wait or you didn't lose RP for leaving, and then you had a map like Boulogne-sur-Mer or whatever, and you had to take off. And the way that EC was working, I don't know if you guys played any of it when it was out. They tested it for I think it was like a week. So they had no markers, and they had objectives that like rotated. So like one time the enemy team was attacking you in a certain area in the map, and they showed it with arrows on the map, and then they would do it the other way around, and then there was some bases to bomb, and it kind of like you're spending SL to spawn in different vehicles at different times because you want to go do different things. So you could take a heavy bomber and go bomb things when it's that time, fly back to base, land, J out, hop in a fighter, go fight some planes because you're defending now. And like if a map that big had some some AI fleets, some subs maybe, give a lot of different options. Like I don't want to cut bombers out of the game, just like the way that bombers and fighter bombers work in ARB right now, they do nothing. I mean, they do stuff, but
Attackers, you mean?
yeah. But yeah, anything like that. Anything that gets rockets, they're really limited in what they can do. There's only so much that you can just go shoot like an AI vehicle that's going to go on the same path, on the same map, the same way every single time. But if it was something like, hey, the enemy fleet is entering the English Channel now, like how about you go torp them? And then you would be like, okay, I'll spawn in my Wyvern and I'll go torp the AI fleet. And then you can go do that. And yeah, increasing player numbers too for that, I think would be cool. Like a 64 player, 128
I think
player.
that's one map that is big enough that you could do it quite easily. You could whack more players on Boulogne easy.
Imagine something like the Bismarck is in the English Channel, right? And you got to take it out. And there's people who are like, well, I'm going to fly my Spitfires and keep the enemy fighters off you. And then they're like, well, I'm going to fly a Welly and try to go, hit the Bismarck with that big Grand Slam or whatever it is that they get. Or Lancaster gets a Grand Slam or whatever. That would be super cool. Yeah. Barrel bombs and shit. I think that would be cool. And I like the fact that it didn't have markers.
You definitely have players spawning in ships in that game mode as well.
Yeah, I know, but I'm trying to talk about things that they could possibly implement with the least amount of coding and the least amount of them being like, I'm gonna split resources for making new vehicles every fucking month.
But RBEC.
It's like essentially like IL2. Like that's how IL2 works.
Oh.
Like it's like a constant, ever changing, like evolving like campaign map that's on a multiplayer aspect. Like that's just how IL2 works. That's how I
World
figured.
War Online did it one as well.
Yeah, like that's how I figured World War mode was actually going to work, but that wasn't the case.
I mean, on the subject, in terms of combined arms of ships and planes and tanks, World War II Online did it very well. There was very specific towns, and then you would still have to take off from airfields miles away. So it doesn't really fix that problem of climbing and doing nothing.
Well,
but
see, if you're climbing in a battle,
your tanks would be located in that specific AO, and your attackers would have to go to that specific AO to do damage at that specific AO because that's where the battle was. Oh, look, we won the battle. It's gone somewhere else.
Yeah,
IL2 kind of fixes that by
you
take forward air bases and you can destroy forward air bases and all that.
Well, my idea on that is we were talking about an air only mode that's fighters only, and I think that's the perfect mix. Having something that is a long form game that suits bombers, fighters, attackers, all types of aircraft, and then having something that is just dogfighting, just fighters. That's all you play. Quick matches, you know, maybe 10 minutes. You spawn in, everybody gets an air spawn, even with RB mechanics, but you can go fight planes that are all fighters. You don't have to worry about bombers. But then if you want that long form where you're playing with a squad, or you want to grind a couple planes out or play different, you know, different types of vehicles, I think like the EC having both options all the time in the game would be pretty cool. And having them change BRs and change what types of planes you could use for the EC while keeping the fighter only mode kind of like ARB is now, where you can just bring in jets or bring in this or bring in that. I think it would be pretty cool. I mean, like,
I can get behind that.
right? I think, because I don't want to remove bombers from the game. You can't do that. I like bombers too, but my B-29 collects dust, right? Like, do you guys use B-29? Do you guys use like the B-17?
In a year, I did try and fly the B-17 out recently, actually, after the cannon change, and oh boy, did not have a good time.
Yeah, it's they're not fun right now, and I like those planes. Like, I wish I had something to play them. I did play some bombers when I was playing the EC, which was fun. You know what I mean? Like fast bomber, the JU-288, I think they just added.
Yes.
The premium,
so
that
good.
thing's sick. It's super fast. It carries a good bomb load. Something like that in EC is super fun to play. You know, you go bomb. I used to love doing the Arado, but I just got sick of bombing the same 3 fucking bomb points. You know, it's just kind of getting repetitive, like more like a chore now. So I
Now,
think
to
some
be honest, the
variation
only
in
time I've
that.
actually like tried to use a bomber legitimately was just to make other people's day worse by climbing a space in the B-29. Like the
Helmet
yeah,
potato,
pretty much.
FMT3.
Yeah,
The
it's pretty boring
AT-117
gameplay.
is cool. Yeah, I think that, and I mean, this can be used for tanks too now. Like, thinking about this and moving it to another idea, right? What if there was a tank EC that was on a bigger map? It did the same type of thing, right? It was an event that changed maybe every 2 days with different tanks available. And then there was a tank only mode that was like Tank RB is now, but with no planes, no helicopters, none of
Yeah,
that
but to
stuff.
be devil advocate there, like you already complain when you're on a large tank map, right? Like,
Yeah,
no
well, that's
one's
what I'm
really gonna
saying. Cut those large. No, I would not complain in a large tank map if I have the ability to respawn using SL and not this made up SP thing. If it was an hour-long battle on a big map with like 128 players with helicopters and planes, I have no issue with playing a match like that for that long. You're going to get a lot of RP. You're going to have a lot of fun. You bring a squad in. There's multiple squads, people working together, moving for these different objectives in like the EC standpoint. And then you have your tank only mode on the smaller maps that I enjoy as well. Like, my issue with Folda isn't that Folda's too big and not a good looking map. It's a good looking map, and it is too big for how many people we get in the game. Like, what's the max? 15 versus 15? That's far too small for this map. Like,
Okay,
But
fair.
that is typical engagement size of an area for a tank platoon.
yeah, I mean, sure.
4v4 tanks. And that's the type of sort of kilometerage that you're talking of.
But if I wanted to play Steel Beast, I'd play Steel Beast.
True.
So that's just my shtick on it. That's what I think. Like, I think it would be cooler if there was, you know, that
I don't
type
know.
of,
I really like Fulva as a map. I like the environment. I like the different types of combat that you get from Captain. I think it's the best of, because generally I have quite a negative view on the sort of perpendicular cap modes,
Mhm.
but Folder is one that I like.
They did do a good
I
job
have
on
time for
like
it.
the variety, but you see, my issue doesn't stem on the map itself. It's the map with 15 people, and let's say 6 people spawn in once. So those are 6 people. Once they die, they're not coming back in. So you're left spawning in, and then you're gonna drive across an open field with
That
no
is
cover.
nobody now, is it? Unless
What?
you've just got one tank.
What?
Well, with the way spawn points have been changed, everyone can respawn at least once.
If you're Russia.
Some people just leave after one death.
Yeah, most
anyway,
people
though.
leave after one
This
death.
is true.
I'm just thinking, my issue always stems from the second spawn on Folda. If you spawn second, like you kill some tanks, you die, you come back in the tank, your team's half dead. You're driving across large open fields with 0 cover now because there's not enough tanks to fill those gaps, and it's not like a frontline type of battle, which would be really cool. It's more of let's spot the bush that's going to kill me while I'm driving across this huge map. While I'm saying like something with, 64 players on Folda with unlimited spawns essentially until the game is beat or the tickets bleed completely would make for a front line type of game where you could go and reinforce the front line. And that would give things like IFVs, which we talked about, how it would be cool to add crew members or repair tanks. They can already repair tanks. Scouting, making scouting a little more viable would be, I think, in my opinion, obviously it's all my opinion, but it would be pretty cool to have like a front line type of thing. You're in a Bradley, you drive up behind some Abrams that are all sitting on a ridge peeking out, every 5 seconds to take shots at T-64s and T-80s that are holed down on the other side of this Folda map, and you're trying to make a breakthrough on any side of the map. I don't know. I just think it would be cool.
I would like to see more
dynamic.
narrow maps with sort of sequential caps. I mean, we've all said this before, but like narrow maps with progression, advanced and secure style progression, and you fight over this cap. Okay, we've capped it. Go to the next one. Oh shit, they've capped it back. Push back. Fall back.
So it's actually
love to see that
funny.
stuff.
On stream right now, I'm using Oxy's video. You can actually see what I'm talking about. He's killing people coming out of the spawn that are just, you know what I mean? Their team's decimated right now. They're spawning in on Folda with zero cover in the middle of a field, getting smoked by 4 or 5 tanks that can all see them. Like that's like the non-fun part. And you can just say, well, don't spawn back in, but it's like, I have the points. I did my work. I want to keep killing tanks, but the battle kind of the system's a little dated.
I mean, yeah, those situations you're not gonna fight it out, but
It happens like
tanks
every
are
game
rare
though.
there.
That's
their tanks not staying still, using their spawn invulnerability to kill the tank.
yeah.
Yeah, they did just start driving.
Yeah. So, and it's not like you can't avoid that. If your team does well in steamrolls, that's what it comes down to every single game. I just wish that wasn't the only option. I also would like the idea of hiding where the enemy team spawns and changing where they spawn throughout the battle.
Oh, Break kind of did that, and it pissed people off.
Well, so
That's
Break
'cause
did
it
it,
was
but
done.
yeah, Break did it where you
Do
capped a
that thing,
point.
but don't do it poorly.
Yeah, you capped a point. It would give you a new spawn. They would tell the enemy team where the new spawn is, and then after you play Break twice, 3 times, you know where the new spawn's going to be. You wait for them to cap, and then you just spawn kill them coming in the new spawn that's even closer to you, which is just poorly implemented. But if they hid the spawns and you actually came off like out of bounds, right? Let's say that you spawned in moving, coming from out of bounds.
It'd be like a randomized spawn or whatever.
Yeah, like not a randomized spawn. Like you'd still spawn with your team, and it wouldn't be something where you're killing the enemy from behind, right? I don't want anything like that, but maybe just a slight rotation of the spawn around the map in any given direction based on where the enemies are and where your team is.
So
Type of
you'd
thing.
still be able to select like your spawn or whatever, but it would just be like.
I'm just thinking like a big red arrow coming into the map from like the top left, and then it slowly goes to the top right as the match progresses, and it doesn't actually tell the enemy team where they're like it tells them where they're coming from, but you'd be driving in, right, spawning in full speed, coming out of bounds, like from the out of bounds into the map, instead of spawning still with in this invincibility frame for 10 seconds where people can
I
see
need
you.
to actually draw up what I mean when I was talking about the spawn system that I want, because I don't think it's a particularly easy thing to explain. This sort of guarded area where they can't actually get behind you and you know which direction they're coming from when they're pushing your spawn, but you still have the option to fight back. I guess the rotational thing works as well, though.
I mean,
yeah. Would it even need to go around would it even need to trace the edge? Could it not just be at random points along the edge?
It could.
Because
I
feel like
that.
if it would crawl along the edge of the map, it would be easy to predict where they were going to come from.
My only fear with that is, I wouldn't want a system like that being implemented, but then backfiring and being poorly implemented because you could spawn behind enemies type of thing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it would have to
was
be,
great.
it would have to be like with your team at least. Maybe it was a random spot, but
Within
if
a
you-
90-degree arc, a given 90.
something like that, right? Or at least keep it completely opposite always from the enemy spawn type of thing. You know what I mean? If the enemy team's doing the same thing on the opposite side of the map, if they both rotate, they continue to rotate, or the spawns continue to be random, but they're set against each other type of thing. They're equidistant from each other. if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I would.
Sounds like a better option than we have now. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not like the fucking. I'm just throwing ideas in the air. You know. I think it would just be. It would change things up definitely.
Well,
'Cause
you would stop. Well, you wouldn't stop spawn camping because I think that's always going to be a, it's
You're
always going to
always
what
happen.
if it
gonna
was a
have
wave
small
spawn?
campers.
What if there was a wave spawn thing? So
Then you just set up for the wave, right?
yeah, like let's say you die and you're about to spawn in your backup Abrams. It makes you wait until you have 2 or 3 other tanks to spawn with.
Yeah, but I
Maybe
mean, then you
this
have
is.
like enemies like setting up for the wave.
That sounds like a great idea to make people leave, though.
I mean, wouldn't it be? Oh, well, I guess yeah, that's true. The way I'm thinking is if you have 4 tanks spawn in, it's way easier to fight off a spawn camp if you all spawn together than
Yeah, true.
just one tank. And I'm still thinking along the lines of you guys driving from out of bounds, like into a random spawn. But it would be like, you spawn up together, not just one tank spawn in here and one tank spawn in there.
I never thought of that idea before. Yeah, I guess if they did it right, it could work.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of games like Battlefield and shit have, well, maybe not Battlefield, but a lot of games do have wave spawns, which, it limits the amount of players coming in, every second, and then just turns it into a lot of players coming in at once constantly. And, like, it makes it more of a battle type of thing when it's
I
like
think
that.
Cat's right in a sense. So like you'd have just people spamming the enter key to try to get back into the game, and they wouldn't be able to get back into the game, so they'd probably just.
Yeah, but that's.
It is any sort of you have to wait mechanic is going to do that to a community that's not used to it. Like it works with squad because you have to do it with Project Reality. It works. People are aware of those mechanics and they were in the game when they started. But people are always going to be like, I used to just be able to quick respawn and get put in the spawn, and now I have to wait.
So the devil's advocate thing for that is every time I talk about wanting new game modes and stuff, there are some people who talk about Gaijin trying to strategically market new people into the game. So if they were strategically marketing new people into the game, by that theory, new people into the game would be able to learn this mechanic fast and understand how it works. So if we're trying to get new players every day, and I think old people could adapt to that. I don't think it would be crazy. Again, this is an idea about an EC tank game mode that I'm talking about. Like, I'm not talking about our normal tank battles. I'm talking about like a concurrent battle with more tanks that lasts maybe an hour with differing objectives. But it would just limit the spam, and it would kind of make it feel more team-based, more like we're actually fighting this battle in tanks than kind of like, all right, let's go fucking shoot some tanks, Let's go pen some armor. Let's go get some RP.
Yeah, that game mode would definitely have like a different community. Like, it would like they'd be definitely more receptive to like a a wait spawn mechanic. But
Yeah.
why wouldn't you want to introduce that to like the current spawn mechanic, or like why wouldn't you try to change like the current spawn mechanic? Just because it's so flawed. Like people complain about spawn camping, and I'm not gonna say names, but someone brought up where like someone just goes for spawn camping because it's the most efficient way to actually play the game. And
Oh yeah,
win,
I mean even it's worse in Sim. People will play RB and get mad about spawn camping, but they've done some things where it kind of you understand.
How do you fix that though?
Again, like hiding the spawns in Sim, if you hide the spawns and make them a little more random, nobody could really do what they do now. Like, or just make a kill wall. If you drive into the spawn, just kill you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you're in the enemy spawn, you're gonna die, or you're in the enemy spawn zone. Just gridlock a part of the map that is the random spawn type of
Wouldn't
thing.
people just like set up like outside that kill wall and just still spawn camp in a sense? But it would just
Well,
be,
what I'm
like,
thinking
housing
about is
restrictions.
if you implement this correctly, right, you could make it so if they do sit outside the kill wall, they're a sitting duck because there's no cover for them.
Okay.
Right? Like, nobody's going to sit out in the open in front of a guy spawning because when they spawn back up, they're invincible for 10 seconds. So wouldn't, they just die. And I'm talking about in Sim now, if that's the thing, like a random spawn in Sim with no invincibility frame, but you're coming in from off map in a random location, and there's still objectives on the map. I mean, the odds are pretty unlikely. Like, I die in Sim to spawn campers for people. They flank the entire spawn. Like, they'll be behind you, and they wait for you to drive out of your invincibility and then shoot you in the back, which is, I don't think that should happen. I don't think that should be even possible. But if you gridlock that part of the map, as soon as they enter the spawn, they're going to die. They can't even get around it, nonetheless, because it goes all the way to the border of the map. spawning in a dugout. See, that would be cool too. That's not a bad idea, to tell you the truth. Spawning in a tank, like a little tank foxhole or dugout. Tear it down. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I think the thing to always consider with this kind of thing is that there's never really a way that spawn camping is going to go forever. There's no way to really completely stop it.
Yeah, of course.
Within reason of how the game works. So people always say, well, that idea wouldn't work, but like you can never get rid of it. You can only limit it. That's the only way that you can really do it.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, I don't want people behind me. If they're in front of me and I'm invincible for 10 seconds, I'll take my chances. You know what I mean? I'd rather take those chances than somebody I don't see sitting behind me, waiting for me to become uninvincible and then just ending my game. And that's the worst in Sim, because that usually happens after your second spawn. That's your second tank. You only get 2 spawns. That just completely just fucking pisses in your Cheerios.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how well you did your first life or anything like that.
I'd kind of like to see some sort of AI fire come into people or sort of start hitting people who get too close to the spawn.
That would be
so
cool. Yeah.
They would be marked on the map. And do you remember the anti-tank guns on Kursk that used to damage you even when they shouldn't damage you?
Yeah.
Those in a particular bubble around the spawn doesn't even have to be very close to the spawn. It could be reasonably far away, but these rounds are hitting you because you're approaching the spawn point and not a capsule. They're gonna mark you on the map. They're gonna do damage or kill you. It's like base AA, but it's a ground force. It's
what if they got arty, but it was red smoke?
What if it got RT and it just gimped your tracks when you got a bit too close? Gimped your tracks and
what if it always breached you? Yeah, it always breached you.
Always gave you broken barrel, always break your tracks and marked you for the enemy. And it's like, well, you got too close to the spawn. Maybe you could have killed someone, but now you're wrecked and they come.
But I don't think anyone likes being killed by like an AI. Like no one likes.
I don't think anyone likes getting killed in the spawn.
Well, yeah, we're still talking about spawn campers. Like if you're gonna go into an enemy spawn and try to kill people when they're least expecting it, like you should gain some skill and you shouldn't complain about the game about that.
That's
like,
true. That's good.
Oh, I couldn't spawn kill you. Like, all right, we'll go kill tanks in the normal battlefield. You fucking bellend.
It fucks me off when there's 2 cap points in my team's hands and you're looking at my spawn point. And it's like, go and play the objective.
Yeah.
When someone's losing and they're still spawn camping, it's like, all right, like
that happens in Sim too. You could have 3 caps on your team and you're getting killed by a guy who's in your spawn or parallel to your spawn. As soon as you come out, you die. You're like, mate, you gotta cap the points to win the game. I mean, we've been doing this for 5 years. This is what we're talking about right now. Like the cap points have been in the game for this long. You understand how the game mode works. Like, why would you? I mean, I guess I get it. People just like being dicks online. I understand that completely.
Padding their stats, yeah.
But they shouldn't get like rewarded for that in any sense.
I think for spawn camping, there's loads of different things you can do, but I think the best way to kind of counter it is just something that's really simple. Because like there's loads of different things you can do, like they're like automatic artillery or the things, but it's just got to be really simple to understand and like a really obvious deterrent. But there are in that loads of options, like those like bunker guns on Normandy, like that are just part of the map. Why don't just plop some of those near the spawn on like most maps, like overlooking?
It's kind of like what Kath was saying.
Yeah, like
but obviously they have to be on different places in different maps because if they don't have line of sight, people will.
Yeah, of course.
But especially stopping people from moving around the flanks.
Every spawn should just have a rat in it. A P1000. It should just sit there and just kill everybody. But yeah, I think there are things that they could do to change the spawn.
There are a million and one things they could do to rectify problems.
Yeah. Well, we put some ideas out there. Hopefully they think about it.
AI guns already exist in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty easy to just give them a limited range and tune that range based on where people spawn kill from. They have all that data. They know with heat maps and shit. Presumably, if they've got they have the heat maps that say that this is where people get shot from. This is where people do the shooting from into the spawn. So rectify that. Put a gun that can see that area.
Yeah, I agree. What about, okay, just to switch topics, because we've been talking about spawn camping for a little bit. We've all played some boats since last time that we all talked. So, what do you guys think the natural progression for boats should be? Or, like, where do you want to see boats go in the future? Like, currently, do you want bigger boats? Do you
I want
want.
to see a sim mode with loads of fucking open space and not seeing ships all the time. Like, that might seem a bit boring, but I want to be like, I want to be plodding around on the ocean and not being in a massive, massive, massive firefight the entire time.
Yeah,
I
Kat,
wanna
that
go
was my
be
hope for boats.
happy.
Like you had
But
you actually destroyers like running screens for like the larger capital ships and all that. But
yeah,
like I think slicks like I know it's probably RB exclusive, but I know you had like an idea where it was like battleships. They're gonna come. Like everyone wants them. They're
Yeah.
gonna be introduced to the game eventually. But they like not everyone should be able to like just spawn a battleship. Like I think your option of like keeping them as like quote unquote power weapons, like where like let's say you get 3-4 kills, whatever, and your destroyer, your
See,
cruiser, whatever,
I said that
well, the
before, and
battleship.
I'm kind of going back on my word with that. I do think it would be cool if that was the case, and I think maybe if they had two battleship slots, they allocated one to somebody who was doing well and one to somebody who spawned into it first. You know what I mean? Who clicked the button first. That way, people
You
who
can't have like
don't.
6v6 battleships, though, right?
No, no, but if some, I'm just thinking two battleships separately, right? I'm not thinking multi-crewed battleships. I'm just thinking the you're the gunner. You're in the guns. You're the fire control guy in the battleship. The ship is on a destined path. But what I'm thinking for spawning in those is like one person who's doing well gets the option to spawn in that indefinitely. So whoever's doing really well gets the option first, then it goes down the list. But the second battleship, it's a random person. That way the people who maybe aren't as skillful in boats or aren't doing as well still get to experience the battleships.
Mhm. I think that works from a gameplay standpoint. At least how slow they are and balance stuff. I think that does work really well. But I still think they should in some way may find a way to implement them, because if people look at the game and they're like, oh, battleships are in the game, that's cool. Oh, they're like a power up. Oh, well, I want to control my own battleship and do my own thing. And I think people wouldn't be as receptive to it, even though I think it would probably be the best way, at least how we've got it right now, to implement them. But
So after playing some of the slower boats in the game that are still of moderate size, I don't want to command a battleship
mhm,
in this game. As that, I would do the gunning. I would love to do the gunning, but I don't want to be like micromanaging, where I'm
yeah,
going and my speed. I don't want to do any of that because they're so big, like compared to the ships we have now. Like the Emden. It is a small boat compared
Small
to
boy,
the
yeah.
Bismarck or the
mhm,
Yamato or the Iowa, and those are the things that people want to see in the game. And saying, "Oh
April
well,
Fools, dude.
yeah," well, people will say
That's the
like,
best way to
"Oh,
test
I'm
it.
just
April
waiting."
Fools.
I'm waiting
That's
for battleships to come, then I'll look into boats. It's like, well, see, how could you even get a grasp for what these are if you don't try some of these little boats? Because like the scale difference, the speed difference, the crew difference, the battleships are really crazy. They're floating cities. I mean, we were talking about this the other night.
Yeah, we
mm,
were, yeah.
They're huge. They're huge. They move so slow. The guns reload they take so long to reload. They do so much damage.
What is the
And
rate
people
of
don't get the
fire of a
scale. Like
battleship's cannon?
it's actually pretty quick, believe it or not.
What?
It's a couple rounds per minute.
Oh
Like
yeah, it's not. Yeah, no, it's not terrible. But what I'm saying is,
it's all automated though, so it's like it's different.
but when you're
But like when
firing, it's going to take a while to engagement ranges for battleships. It's going to take a while for you to even get a first bearing and see how far away your shots are going and where you need to lead and stuff like that for the
but again,
shells
the
to even
scale,
hit.
people don't get it. Like those shells are literally taller than you. Like
Yeah,
people don't get that.
yeah,
Like
they're huge.
it's huge, dude. But yeah, like for me, like I was kind of hoping, like probably like my greatest War Thunder moment is like playing those specific events. Like you guys were speaking of events earlier, like but
Yeah.
like being like at a D3
Oh
and
yeah.
just like going close to the water and being shot at by all the AA like of ships and just releasing that torpedo. Great time. Like I would like to like have that in like a non PVE like scenario. Like I think ships will do really well right there, but it's just it takes bigger ships, takes people controlling those bigger ships, but they're really hard to implement because again they're slow. It's like you watch people play the Emden or whatever. Like it's not the most riveting gameplay.
They
You know, the
actually
shit.
changed the spawn on the Emden because it was so slow. They changed it to where
Yeah.
you can spawn in the destroyer spawns.
I hate to break people, like the bigger ships are even slower.
They're
than
even
that. Like,
slower.
that's
They're even bigger. They have
that's a
more
quick
crew.
ship.
They're harder to kill. You
Yeah.
can't one torp it. You know what I mean? Like it's that's why I think it has more of a power up. Because if everybody's in a battleship, the game would be way different than most people think. It's not World of Warships. It wouldn't be World of Warships. It would be a way different game.
I think World of Warships balances like the
Look,
arcade and like
I said it.
playability purpose.
April Fools. Test it on April Fools, and then people will say, "Oh yeah, maybe that's not a good idea."
Well, yeah, I think it would be a valid test of April Fools. But you know, I don't want to wait
Kath,
once
let's
a
be
year
honest,
for
like,
things to be tested.
People like the T90 versus was it Leo A4? Like people thought that was an awful idea. Like right, like but we could see it was the future of War Thunder. Like okay, they're gonna go to modern tanks. Like let's say you play battleships and it's people like it, but you have a large like vocal minority that doesn't like it. Like and then it gets introduced. Like you're gonna have like the same thing, except I don't think
You had a large vocal minority that didn't like helicopters in that event as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But you still have a large vocal minority that doesn't like helicopters.
They tested submarines this April Fools. So far, what is there anything that they've tested at April Fools that hasn't come out other than submarines?
My Little Ponies with 30mm
it's
gun
flying
pods
puns.
strapped to their waist.
Yeah.
It's the only thing. I
Well,
think.
yeah.
So here's a picture of it looks like a Fletcher. So that's a Fletcher compared to the Iowa. So like just take that into just a little bit of
Yeah,
an
people
idea.
don't get the scale of ships. Like as someone who works on ships, like you don't understand how big these things are. Like they're pretty
And the
big.
Fletcher's big in
I
this
hate-
game right now. But
And it's small, dude. It's
just
so
look how much bigger this is. It's like two and a half of them. And the Iowa isn't even that long of a ship compared to some of
Yeah,
the
no,
things
it's
people
pretty
make.
small. Yeah.
It's wide, it's girthy, it's got good power, but the Yamato is huge.
Go see a Gerald R. Ford or like a a modern like aircraft carrier. Like it's literally a city on the ocean.
Mhm.
Like it's that much.
So is that a repair ship in the middle repairing 2 destroyers and the battle? Is that what you
Either
can see
that
the
or
subtitle on
fueling
top?
them or something. Here,
Probably
let's
fuel
do
at that point, yeah.
here's here's like a Iowa next to a modern destroyer. It's just
Like
like
you really like, dude. Like the armor thickness in the Yamato is actually incredible. Like like you really couldn't penetrate it at certain ranges with like even like the largest guns, like 16-inch guns, couldn't penetrate the Yamato. Like if it was at a decent range, like it's actually impressive. Like it's like people like like they really want battleship gameplay, which I get. Like I think the Gaijin's art department is probably the best in the business when it comes to like recreating like historical tanks, planes, ships. Like they actually do an incredible job, but it's not going to be good gameplay. Like I hate, like it's just
well, here's a picture.
you-
So this is the Yamato
look at that
compared
beast.
to the Fletcher, which is this one. The gun itself, I think it would take 4 of these guns from barrel to the end of the turret to be like the Fletcher size. 4 of the guns. It's crazy. It's huge. It's a massive ship. So like something like that, if the destroyers play kind of slow in War Thunder, think about moving this fuck ton. Like this huge.
It displaces more than 100 long tons like on the ocean. Like like it's hard to like explain like how heavy that is. That's so much weight. Like those are big guns. That's a big ship.
And I want to
It's gonna
control
be
the
slow.
guns. I'm just personally, I think controlling the entire ship itself in War Thunder's mechanics and stuff wouldn't be fun. I don't think moving this
Also, it's kind of unfair, right?
landmass
Like,
around.
you and Kath both played like squad tanks, like it
Yeah.
was like 3-man crew, right?
Mm-hmm.
Per
Mhm.
tank.
Yeah.
Like how would that work for like a battleship from War Thunder?
I fucking wouldn't. There's no voice chat. You can't interact with other random people. You get put in a ship like that, it'd be like, turn around, turn around, turn around. Why are you going this way?
Yeah.
Turn left, turn left, turn left, turn left. Oh my god, report.
Yeah, see, that would be the issue with aircraft carriers. So a really big.
Player controlled aircraft carrier is never gonna work, dude.
I know, and this
That
is.
said, the only thing that I can think of that would work in terms of player controlled aircraft carriers is that the player who spawns in the aircraft carrier takes off from planes on that aircraft carrier and goes and does bombing runs and stuff. Because you're not going to do anything in the interior.
Yeah, I see. The thing that I wish is I played this game. I'm sure you guys have played it too. Battle Stations Midway and Pacific.
Yeah.
That game had it down
Navy
to
Field
a
as well.
science. What?
Navy Field?
Oh, Navy Field's fun. That's top down though, right?
Yeah, same sort of thing though.
Okay. Well, I was just using Battle Stations because it's kind of the same POV, like similar. And they did a good job making battleships, destroyers, aircraft carriers, submarines all intertwined on the same map. If
All
something
playable as well.
all playable, if they could utilize the ideas and the groundwork that game used and put it into boats in this game with War Thunder's engine and stuff like that, it would be amazing, I think.
Yeah, but could they? Because like there's different objectives in War Thunder, right? Like,
Well, yeah, they could. Well, I mean, I talked about this. I think we talked about it last week or the week before, but I might have talked about it actually with Miles and them when we were talking about boats. But the way battle stations worked, from what I remember, is you get a port, and you can spawn ships, and then when you spawn like a certain amount of the ships that they don't work, or you can't get any more of them. If they did something in War Thunder where it was like you had a port, like a couple hangars or a couple or docks or whatever you want to call them, and they could be bombed, that would give planes an objective, which could be implemented in that, right? And then you have a place for the ships to spawn, make it realistic. And then you have a place for submarines to like attack, and then you have an objective for the ships even is to go destroy the enemy port or go destroy the enemy where the ships are coming from, the dock. And this gives the flak barges that are in this game objective. They could chill by the port and shoot down planes and stuff. Little river boats, if there's islands, can go into these little islands and do side objectives and stuff. We talked about that too. I think I said like a big map if the fleets were moving like against each other and they were going to eventually meet, but there was an island in the middle with a bunch of like river systems and like little canals and shit, and you can take your river boats up those and go kill the enemies and do side objectives for the small boats while the big boats fought out in the open ocean. I think like that would be really cool to make it even bigger.
Yeah,
I think.
no, definitely.
You know, I think it's all about just making the objectives fun to do. Like I don't want to bomb a base. I don't want to cap a point. You know what I mean? I want to like have some driving effect on the game with how we kill and how we move through the battlefield and stuff. I think that's the
like
whole idea.
what I've gathered, like it's essentially like you want to expand War Thunder, like from tanks to ships, everything. Like you just
they're working to make them all
like,
fluent, and I see that, but I think
that's what World War mode should have been. And
Yeah.
now, they've just kind of like pigeonholed into this 5v5
even
or
if it
12v12
was
or whatever.
if it was a player controlled aircraft carrier, but he only launched AI planes. Even if that was a thing and they went out and did their own thing, but they went and attacked, how much cooler would it be? Because right now, if you're in a destroyer, there's one plane probably coming after you at any given time, right? One. Imagine if that was replaced not by a player. Players could be in planes. I'm not saying they shouldn't. But if it was replaced by 4 or 5 or 6 D3s coming at you at low altitude, now it doesn't turn into your AI gunners just spazzing out and killing whatever's in front of you. It turns into a possibility of you having to grab your AA guns, keybuying that, hop on the AA guns, and start taking out these AI fighters who are really trying to torp your ass.
But again, like that would expand on like the like a player controlled fleet. Like you'd have people in destroyers like running screens. Like you'd have like your cruisers like guarding your larger ships. You'd have your battleships doing their thing, and you'd have like aircraft carriers in the back of like the group. Like you would actually have like a strategic actually group, and like Navy would work that way. But I don't know if that can work in War Thunder. Like it's
I don't
fun.
know.
Like
I don't know.
who wants to play that destroyer? Like, everyone's going to want to play the battleship, or you can have like a group of people who want to play the aircraft carrier, but like very little people actually going to want to run the screen with the destroyers, or very little people actually want to run the cruisers because
Yeah.
that's kind of a boring job. Like, you're more of a support player, and
See, the thing that would
It's-
make that a little bit more interesting, not a ton, but a little bit more interesting, is if there were subs and the destroyers were hunting the subs,
okay.
or the
Yeah,
cruisers were defending against, you know what I mean? Something like that, obviously. Because I wouldn't mind playing a destroyer or a sub hunter or flying
same,
a plane. You know, I'd do anything. I think it would be cool just to watch this entire massive battle in the Pacific. Like, they already have Midway in the game. Why,
it's
why
kinda
is that
said,
not
like,
on a map?
when Kat said like sim boats, like that's what I
Sim
that's what
boats
I
would be
envisioned.
so dope.
That's what I envisioned, like Navy, like when they first you know they teased it like 2 years ago. I'm like, okay, there's gonna be like this awesome sim element where you're gonna be running screens as a destroyer, and like you have to like actually man the boat. Like that's what I thought War Thunder boats was gonna be. But I've played like RB and AB now, and it's still fun. Like
It is
I
fun.
can log on, play boats, and I'll have a good time. But yeah,
It's
like,
fun, but I don't want to be constantly plodding around going, constantly, like, just
Yeah.
running
Yeah.
into this wall of fire and fucking shots.
Yeah, that's the thing with the spawns on the
excite
boats
me.
now. I don't enjoy them. I think the maps need to be reworked a little bit and add a little bit more time to the battle, because people just spawn out of thin air, and you could just be on a normal cruise path trying to fight one boat, and then they're spawning on your right because the spawn is literally in plain sight after you pass the halfway point on the map in the small boats. I think it would be cooler if you did have to sail into battle and stuff. Again, I think all of this stuff, like if you make a game longer, it needs to be reinforced with how much you get out of the game. I don't think going into a game that's going to take 25 minutes, getting 8K RP, I don't want to do that. I'm thinking like 25,000 RP for a long fleet battle. It makes sense. Because if you play an hour on the game, you have two battles, let's say, they both went really good. One of them you lost, one of them you win, and you get like maybe 50,000 XP from that hour. That's not that bad. It's not terrible. Maybe a little bit more with premium and stuff. And then you can grind out bigger boats. I don't know. I obviously I don't have all the answers. None of us have the answers. We're just discussing what it could be. But I think Battle Stations Midway was the best boat game I've ever played
yeah, for
in
sure.
terms of like what they did. And I
I
love
think with like
the
when you
models
look
in
at
this game.
scale, you look at all that, like it's probably the best. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean the models in War Thunder are, none of us are gonna disagree on the fact that the models are fucking
best,
brilliant.
yeah.
They're brilliant. They look so good.
They are.
And the
Like the
wave
ar-
effects, everything. It looks really.
Yeah.
You can hit a ship. I think we were playing the other day, Kath, right? And you bombed a guy with your plane, and he split in half.
He did.
And the ship in the center where the bomb landed, both of the parts in the middle split and flew up in the air, and then it sunk split like sideways. It's just sick to see that. So I don't know.
The thing is, something that I noticed was posted on Reddit is that a lot of the damage models, if you take a certain amount of damage, it's not fire damage. It's not like the wood doesn't get smashed up and bent out of shape and stuff. It becomes rotten for some reason. The wood gets all like weather worn rather than gunshot worn, which is something that doesn't really make sense.
I agree. That's small things that they could, work
It
towards.
just that's such a nitpicking thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, I get it. I wish that when the bouncing effects got changed eventually, when you bounce a shot on composite, it's the same type of bullet hole looking thing that we've had, forever. That would be cool. I mean, I want bomber cockpits. They've been placeholders for 2 years now.
Well, they were non-holders for 4 years. So.
Yeah. So I guess maybe in 2020 we'll have some bomber cockpits that are high def.
Awesome to actually be see like a shell like scraping against like the side of a ship. That'd be so awesome.
Yeah, if all
Those
the
are
armor
big
plating
shells.
and stuff,
Yeah.
it would look cool. Or even if you do get penetrated, like in the wood splintered up or something, where the shell would hit, that would look awesome. maybe even if it didn't kill you. Overpens turn into massive holes. They do turn into holes now on the ship, but they're kind of random. It's not a 1-to-1, and maybe that's like some coding thing. But at
Well,
least
that's
with like
probably a possibility, to be honest.
As far as from what I've seen, it depends on like how much memory you've got and how much is actually going on in the battle. Because like if not much is really going on, you can see every individual bullet hole, and like if you put two shots near each other, like they'll form one bigger one, and it looks
I have
really
seen
good.
that before. Yeah.
Like especially if you go into the test drives or test sails for the ships, you see all of that on the ship because there's like there's the assets the game has that can actually make that happen. Because there's not a lot going on. So it does look really really good, and it doesn't happen that much in the live matches just because I think there's too much happening.
Yeah.
The server's got to cut down on some of the detail, but really cool when that happens.
I like they've done a good job, just to throw some praise because we are picking a lot of shit apart. When you do get shot, like you're saying, and it puts a hole in the ship, depending on where you're turning and stuff, the water floods in faster, which I found really like a small detail that means a lot in terms of gameplay.
It's really cool.
I noticed that with the hydrofoil because I was good. I got shot up, but I was fine until I turned the hydrofoil and dipped the actual hull into the water. It started sinking like crazy fast, which is pretty cool.
Is that a thing that happens?
What?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is that actually a thing that happens?
Yeah,
Like,
so the hydrofoils, if you get hit in the hull, it doesn't necessarily make you drown right away. But if you slow the ship down or turn and come off the fins and start to actually go into the water, you'll sink.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah, it's really
One
cool.
thing that I wanted to ask about hydrofoils because I haven't used one yet. If can you be hit in the fins and have part of the fin come off and like sploosh down into the water?
For for what?
Well, obviously the fins are like wings, aren't they? They sort of keep you planing in the.
Oh yeah, I don't know
They
about the
give you sort of
fins.
water-based lift buoyancy, I guess, but it's not as if
Hydrodynamics, yeah.
I think
Hy-
they get
hydro-
blacked
hydro-
out
fins,
and
but-
then you sink back into the water, but I don't think
That's
it's
what I mean.
modeled in a way where they disappear. I think you just sink back in if they get hit. But I don't know, though. I think that's what happens from what I remember. But
See, I haven't played enough
We
of the
should test this.
hydrofoils. Yeah, we should. I haven't played them against big ships. Like something
I'm
that would
basically,
actually do.
asking if the fins get damaged, do they lose their aerodynamic or hydrodynamic?
Yeah, properties.
Do you know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah,
they're
I get what
basically
you're saying.
wings.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Does it make the boat become not a hydrofoil anymore because they're damaged? Like they don't work?
Do I lose lift?
Yeah,
Because it's not buoyancy, is it? It's lift.
It
it
still
is
is
lift.
lift.
Yeah, it's technically lift.
You
It's
know,
just
you'd be
using
on the ocean instead of
the water is the air in that instance. But I don't know. I think boats are promising though. There's a lot of like out of the game modes they've added. I think boats progressed the fastest and the best out of like because I mean shit.
Well,
yeah.
They're still
Don't you think
changing
that's-
things on tanks.
Don't you think that's because like Gaijin had experience in other like other aspects of like terrestrial, like the tanks were really bad. I don't think people remember like they were really bad at
Oh,
first.
they were
but
awful.
you saw the potential.
Yeah,
But you saw the potential, right? And I think boats like they've showed the least potential, but at the same time like
they had the best
definitely
turnaround.
progressive faster.
Yeah, within like the
Yeah.
year, they've had the best turnaround with boats, in my opinion. Like they came out, and I was like, "Wow, these are trash." And then I carried that for a while, and I didn't play them. And then I went back recently, and I was like, "Wow, they added a lot of cool shit." Like I never knew the Jaguar existed until I played it in
Honestly,
this
like
game.
playing that one night with Oxy, like an AB, like yeah, I'm not really an AB player, but like playing that, like it was actually like a lot of fun, and it was probably more fun than like AB planes at the moment because
Oh, I think
new,
boats are
but
more fun than
that-
air RB.
yeah,
they
probably.
are. Like you got to kind of give them props that like boats have just come out of like CBT and they're actually fun and enjoyable and they work on like well on lots of like different levels at even what they're at right now. Whereas when tanks came out, it was like not even comparable. Like that was barely like a game when they first came out.
But
And
isn't that because we've played like a lot of like air, like that's why we think boats are more entertaining.
I
Maybe.
think it's sorry what we're comparing it to right now though.
I think it's
Like-
how dynamic is like the difference between a patrol boat gameplay and the destroyer already. I think that's like
That's true,
the
yeah.
gap in that shows so much potential.
And like convoys and stuff are already confirmed. So you know we're going to be seeing stuff like that, and that's going to be cool.
wasn't
Like, and you know it's just come out.
Did you play that convoy game mode in ships? It wasn't fun.
Well, that's because you know it was in
Yeah.
the
That was the
like
early
whatever
stages.
build.
Okay, yeah, that was
I think
awful.
it's fair to compare them.
Fine.
Both.
But they have those boats. They have those transport vessels. What'd you say?
That's when I played
You
boats.
said
and it just
there's
wasn't
already
fun.
been a convoy game mode, did you say?
Yeah.
Crook?
Yeah, there was. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was like when the very first test of boats. The very first test. It
That
was
was
on
second
this.
test, but yeah.
Was it? It was an icy
second.
map with a bunch of. I actually haven't seen that map's not used right now either.
No, it isn't.
So they're on both sides, Kath. They had transport ships moving opposite directions, parallel to each other though.
Right.
And you were all in small boats, and I think they started to test some destroyers then, maybe,
No, that
or some a little bit bigger boats, like maybe the LCS was in that or something like that. And the team that won, like the cargo ships,
Short
if you
load
killed
boats.
them, yeah, you had to destroy them, and it was pretty fun.
I don't think it was fun. I think it just became like a thing where you could launch torpedoes from.
Oh no,
know,
but I'm saying
distance away
that
and
would
just
be
go.
fun now. Like if they added an AI
Yeah.
convoy in the maps that we have now, maybe farther out, it would kind of break up the battles. It wouldn't be like you were saying before, Kath, where it was like you spawn into gunfire, and that's what you do now. You spawn into the fight, even right
Yeah,
off the bat.
I mean, it's pretty easy to spawn your second spawn in the small boat spawn and have like 3 or 4 people looking into this.
Yeah.
I,
Oh, I've done it. I've done it in my
I like a
140.
bit more battle prep than that. Like, I don't mind rolling 10. Orange had a lot of things to say about the amount of time that it takes to get to the fight in tank battles. I don't mind it. I mind it in air, I think, probably because I've done it thousands of times. But a little bit more setup time and positioning, especially because I personally know more about, you know, armored vehicles and the application and tactical aspect real world. I don't find so much of a problem with the the drive time, but the complete opposite of it is doing what happens in War Thunder at the moment, which is spawning in boats at the moment, which is just spawning straight into the death as soon as you go around a fucking rock. Like, I don't. There's no sort of tactical aspect there. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, the spawns are a bit kind of wonky.
Far too close.
Like, if you get really lucky with an ammo rack, you can kill someone in the patrol boat area with like within the first maybe 10, 20 seconds. I've seen it happen once. Obviously, like, that's not going to happen very often, but it can happen, and that itself is, you know, shouldn't really be acceptable. Especially like some of the repair costs of the ships, like they're above 10k, and it's like spawn in like, oh, I'm gonna have a really good time, and you just go in and immediately get ammo racked, and it's just that for a game
Yeah.
shouldn't happen.
Ammo racks, I really don't find them. I know that they are what they are, but in boats, even when I'm in a destroyer, if I get ammo racked, I'm not like, fuck, I got ammo racked. I'm like, well, that's shit, isn't it? It's just, it doesn't feel. I really has to say, it doesn't feel satisfying to be killed. Like, I don't know how it's different, but I feel like in ammo racked in World of Warships, you're like, yeah, fuck, that was rare. I got ammo racked, but I think it's often enough in War Thunder that it's like, for fuck's sake.
Well, I think one of the problems with boats is like AB feels like RB. Like there's like with planes, like you get like the physics element where it's like you have this like, you know, it's different. Tanks, same thing. Like you don't have like the, you know, the skatey tanks and all that. But with boats, like I played AB, I played RB, and they both felt similar enough where like I could, you know, if I was decent at the game, I could do well in both. But at the same time, like there's no reason not to play AB because AB is like it's, you know, it's similar enough where like, okay, like why would I play
Basically
RB?
RB, but with all of the kind of idiosyncrasy, like aiming's easier and like just not really easy, but aiming's faster, and your ships are faster. It doesn't really add any depth to it. Like,
well, with like RB, like RB planes adds a ton of depth, right? Like,
yeah, and so does tanks and stuff. But with boats, it's like with the aiming, it's like, yeah, the aiming's harder and there's a bit more skill involved. But all arcade does is cut out the micromanaging, which is like all it is for aiming is like adjusting the scroll wheel a little bit, or like pressing the fire or the range like acquisition button. and that's not really skillful. That's just tedious.
I
where
find
you could
it-
just be shooting and stuff.
I find it satisfying. I like.
Yeah, I guess it's satisfying to a degree, but like it's not really. There's not much depth to it.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. It's pretty easy though. Like once you learn how to
Yeah.
ammo rack a ship, I can do it pretty consistently. I think I was playing a
like,
game
that's-
like a couple nights ago with Mike, and I got, like I went up the left side, and killed, like 4 or 5 destroyers in a row with like 1 or 2 salvo ammo racks each time, and they just kept spawning up, and I kept killing them, kept spawning up, kept killing them, just because like once you find that ammo rack, I think. To touch on that though, Kath, they did actually. I think it was the past couple of days. One of these updates reduced ammo rack chance for boats by 25% or 20%.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
Today we learned.
Mm-hmm. Level of whirlwind bullying, Oxy. Low.
Amount of whirlwinds I bully in that video. Catastrophic.
That was a 360. But yeah, I mean, I think boats are promising. I definitely think I see a future with them. I think they'll be dope. Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about? Any other topics?
Any other topics?
2 packs.
We could take some questions from chat.
We could take some questions. That'd be good.
Because this was really smooth. I feel like today I looked down at the time finally, and I was like, wow, okay, we're an hour and 40 minutes in.
Oh dear, yeah.
So yeah, if anybody wants to some discussion topics, we touch on them quick.
Can we all talk about how much we hate spit?
Yeah.
Just
I
the collective
have no
opinion.
strong feeling.
No, you do. Like no one likes North Spitfire, dude.
We did touch a little bit on tank only modes. We talked like in unison with another mode. I think it would work, but I definitely am not opposed to that. What do you guys think on a tank only mode?
Yeah, we
I
didn't
think it'd be
really
awesome.
come to a conclusion on it, did we?
No,
Yeah,
we
the-
just kind of threw ideas in the air.
Not to me, like it'd be like an old
I-
sim. Like a lot of people want to play it, but again, like you're gonna just split the community into a point where, like, you're gonna have like a niche, like would it be RB? Would it be like sim? Like how would you do like a tank exclusive?
Yeah.
Like I think RB would be the best, but at the same time, like who's gonna want to play RB tanks at that point? Like no one's gonna want to do that.
Yeah. See,
It
I
does
want
run the risk.
Yeah, it runs the risk of killing a game mode.
I don't think they'd ever do it anyway, because like I mean the only reason why helicopters are in the game is for ground attack. Really, they're not prioritizing heli v heli.
Yeah.
So I think there's always going to be ground units and air units together. I don't think it would ever change. As well, like, if it did, it's like they've got loads of SPA, some of which are useless against tanks. What are they going to do? They're just going to go stale. You know, I mean, sure they could add AI planes back, and that could be something for them to do. But I just don't think it's. Even though I would prefer it, because planes are really annoying, I don't think it's viable for them or the game to remove it.
I
As
agree.
a cast player, I feel like I am inherently biased and will be called inherently biased. But
Well,
I
that's
don't like the
that's
idea of
fine.
cancelling me.
If that's what you
But
enjoy, that's no problem.
Not every engagement had. Again, I like to base these things in at least the thought of reality, and it's like not every tank on tank engagement ever has had casts in it.
Yeah.
I don't know of any way that you could vary it so that sometimes there is no cast, other than making casts harder to access.
I think the only way they could do it is if they added like maybe daily or every other day like a new event, which is like on a set map or a set couple of maps with like simulator-esque lineups, but like say an RB but with no planes. I think that's
And
the
it was
only way they
tanks
could do it.
only. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would work. I think that going at it from the other angle, that would be the best way to not split the community and do it.
Like maybe
But
like give
I
it like
would bet it would be popular.
I think so.
I bet it would be very popular. Like
It's
a
for
lot
me,
of
like,
people hate
Don't
planes.
you guys like kind of value like the depth that having aircraft, having helicopters offers? Like it's like RB to me is like the epitome of like War Thunder, where it's like you have to have a lineup that's well balanced and well thought out, and it's like SP. Like yeah, I get why people hate it, but at the same time, like it's probably the the best version of War Thunder. Like
This is
It's
the thing is
strategic.
that everyone's on an equal playing field. Everyone can get CAS. Everyone can use CAS, right? You just have to fucking research the vehicles and get the mods. It's not hard. It's not locked behind, like a paywall or anything like that. It's sure certain vehicles are if you want to look at it that way, but everyone can do CAS. Everyone can do this thing that kills tanks.
I think a lot of the issue really is that you can be the best player in the world fighting the worst player in the world and you can't dodge a bomb. It's like it doesn't really favor skill in that aspect.
The worst player in the world
better,
may
dude.
not manage to drop
They
the
know
bomb
better,
correctly, though.
That's it's an example to for the point. I don't necessarily mean that literally. It's that like there's no way to actively counter like a bomb. You can be doing really really well and you can't do anything. You can't fight that as a tank. I mean, yeah, you can come back in a plane, but it's like that's not really a fun time that you're having right there. I think it's fair to really say that. Like,
I don't feel like I've been bombed often enough in all the tanks that I've ever played to be like, oh, this is mighty frustrating. Boo boo hiss, because most of the time I'm shooting these planes down myself as well.
Cat, did you play like Sim when there was no aircraft? It was a way different experience.
Sure
The way you actually moved about the map, like it was just like it was tank versus tank, and that was all you had to worry about. It was way different.
I barely ever worry about CAS anyway. If I get bombed, I get bombed. If I get attacked, I get attacked. It never happens often enough to me that I worry about it that much.
I feel, to be fair to that, where we disagree on that kind of, I guess, Kath, is that I play the game probably a substantially greater amount than you do.
Okay.
So it's like, no, I don't mean that in the way it probably comes across. I mean it in that, like if I play
more than you.
It's in like if I play 30 matches a day and you play like 10, I by definition I'm going to get bombed more because I'm playing more.
Yeah, but a lot of the people who make these complaints aren't even like level 100. So it's a lot of people who are in the mid tiers getting hit by people, and maybe they've just started playing tanks and they haven't got any planes yet, and they're the vocal.
I think that's the vocal minority.
Actually,
are people who don't have planes
people
to
who are
spawn.
just learning the game.
Yeah.
I think less people have played aircraft enough to get their aircraft than the opposite. I think more people have tanks than aircraft.
More people have tanks than aircraft at this point. I think so.
That's the thing. That goes back to the ARB argument. Nobody wants to fucking play it. But that's a topic we already touched on it. But I definitely agree with Oxy on the fact that like an event tank RB mode or tank only mode would be pretty dope.
I would like that, yeah, but CAS itself doesn't irritate me.
No, yeah, I don't give a shit either because I just spawn in my MiG or spawn in whatever plane I have and I go shoot them down on some
right. If like RB planes has like its own game mode, like I think tanks as well. But I think what's unique about tanks is our tank RB is the fact that you have like that rock paper scissors element to it.
Yeah.
It's only because I've grounded all the planes before like tanks were introduced, so like I bit biased on that. Like I couldn't imagine like getting into this game just to play tanks and not having any aircraft. Like that sounds pretty odd.
I just think I don't think it's fair to invalidate people's opinions about getting annoyed that planes are in the game because like what you're playing your Ferdinand that's got like a 20k repair cost. You're limbering your way into the battle. Someone's already in a plane and they bomb you before you do anything. You've got to pay out. Maybe you're a player that doesn't have many lions. It's like that's not. There's nothing redeemable about that as like a gameplay function. I just don't think that should be. No, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like
a point to sort of emulate like a battlefield. Like it's not supposed to be realistic. It's not supposed to be a simulator. It's supposed to just kind of emulate how war was, and planes were like were like a an impactful element of like combat itself. So like if you're in your Ferdinand, like chances are you probably have a Stuka at least, and if you're in your Ferdinand, like immediately you get bombed, like you either joined late or you did something wrong. Like that just doesn't happen. Like in general, like there's actually no chance where you can get bombed at the start unless you join late. Like that just can't happen.
It does happen a lot
in Sim, yeah, but
not even in Sim. Just with the So I think a lot of people kind of slowly realizing that they can just get into planes super early if they want, especially with the spawn points now. If you spawn in like a light tank, it's super easy. Like you don't even need to do that much depending on the plane that you're spawning in. Especially with top tier at the moment, I know spoken about that, and people are getting real upset. Like it's like deceptively easy to do. I mean, you're not going to be super effective and wipe out a whole team, but you're going to ruin the game for someone who hasn't really had a chance to do anything yet. And yet, it doesn't happen all the time, but the possibility that it can happen, I see as just a problem anyway.
Yeah, I agree with that.
To a degree, but isn't
switch.
that like a unique experience, like with the War Thunder, right? Like you can play tank, you can play an aircraft, you can play.
Yeah, it's a unique experience for sure,
shit.
but I don't think a player's going to be like, oh boy, I can't wait to play my mouse, and like a minute later you get bombed. It's like, oh, that was a really fun historical experience. I'm so glad I could experience this game
Yeah.
for what it
Not about
is.
historical. It's more just
Like,
about a unique.
I know, but I think
I don't know.
the argument that people always there's like with the historical thing, it's like people use the game's historical like when it suits them. It's like oh well, repair times are really short. Yeah, well it's a game, it can't be historical. Then it's like with things like that, it's like oh well, it's a historical game, you're going to get bombed. I mean, you can't kind of flip flop between those two mindsets. I just think there's
I've talked
probably
about this before. Like I think War Thunder is the best pseudo sim in the market. Like, and that's how you have to treat it. Like, it's not going to be realistic. It's not supposed to be realistic. There's no element of this game where you're like, oh, I'm going to relive 1941 for
Well,
Germany.
it's close to being realistic. I think we should just agree to disagree because we're dragging on the topic. But
It's a team of individuals.
people
right?
people like CAS, people don't like CAS. If there's a tank only mode that's an event, nobody can complain about that because they'll just play normal ground forces. But the people who want tanks versus tanks only get that experience. I think.
Kill normal ground forces. Yeah.
If they have the tanks to use it.
Yeah, I don't think it would kill normal ground forces though. Because if they do an event that's, maybe the day that tier 6 is up, everybody will be like, all right, tanks tier 6 versus tier 6, tanks only. I'm going to play that. Everybody's playing it. So be it. For that day, ground forces is not going to be played, but those people are going to continue playing their XM1s and their Abrams and shit when the event's not up. I don't think it's going to kill off RB completely. But somebody did ask an interesting question, and I lost it. So, hold on. Wait a second.
I'm in a battle that I've never seen before.
It's like how do you actually feel about the FJ being
no. So that's what I wanted to talk about, the FJ. I think that they just need something comparable at for every nation. It doesn't have to be.
It's in episode 1.
Yeah, I know, but it doesn't have to be, and we can touch on it quick because we are running pretty late now. But it doesn't have to be 5 of these bullpups on one plane. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be that. It just has to be somewhat comparable. Maybe 3. It could carry 3 or 4 of the bullpups. Maybe it's a little bit better of a fighter than the FJ or something like that. That would probably make it a little bit better. But personally, I don't think the FJ is what makes America that OP. You know what I mean? I don't think the FJ is winning games like people say. I think it's a lot of people who know how to navigate the forms getting killed by FJs. I think the real issue is not having equipment to deal with an FJ, and also the H1Z. Something like that is really game breaking when somebody knows how to use it. They could sit at a height that is untouchable very early on in the game with potential of 16 kills without being touched, unless somebody spawns in a plane to go get them, which is kind of insane. Right? Like, have you been in a game and seen somebody with the H1Z or anything like that? Because they're pretty rare still.
I've been pinned to spawn by an MI-35 quite a few times.
So I checked the guy's stats that was doing it that I saw in my game, and he was 25 or 2,600 to 200 deaths in the H1Z. Ground kills, not even counting planes, which is pretty insane. Even thinking about how long helicopters have been out, the fact that you can amount 2,500 kills in one, that is the last one in the tree, is pretty crazy. And I think, honestly, the only way to combat that is make choppers have to fly like their real counterparts do. Stay low to the tree line, use natural mountains and dunes and stuff to cover your helicopter. That would be something like a lock-on missile,
Yeah, if you give it a lock-on with a decent amount of time, and I would say warn the player from a gameplay point of view, if we are doing this Oxy. for the
Yeah.
for the sort of full gameplay point of thing. Give the player a warning, because then that's going to make the player not want to continue engaging targets. I mean, from as far as I'm concerned, if they just make the helicopter's kill potential lower by making the optics less stable or making the zoom less good,
Yeah, the zoom
it's
is
going to accomplish the same
really-
thing. It's going to
yeah.
accomplish exactly the same thing, and it's the easiest thing to implement. That something needs to be done with anti-aircraft to satisfy tank players, I think.
Yeah, something like a Tunguska. I don't have a problem with like the person in the helicopter getting a warning first, even if it's hard to hit them with this. It's just something to deter them from sitting in the very top of reach, like, nobody can touch them, and just sitting there. It's like something that's going to make them move, make them not hit 16 tanks undisputed, So,
I mean,
I don't know. I think something like that should be implemented.
I mean, the SAMs are kind of coming, aren't they? Like, in one of the dev Q&As and stuff. Yeah, the next logical progression for anti-air systems would be the missile. I think that that's going to happen
It probably will, yeah.
because they haven't moved up any of the AA to like higher BRs. It makes me think they're going to be filled with. So I'm pretty sure they'll be coming. So like the pendulum's going to swing. It's just like it's in the lull right now, where there's certain balance issues, but they know about them and they're going to be changed. Like the only reason why the FJ was just in America, they put it in that winter event to test how a platform like that would work. So they added loads of them. It would, they'd have to recall them. There'd be loads of them about. Like it's like a way of limiting.
Limiting
the
a
vehicle in a
test.
testing environment.
Yeah.
And then if
Also,
they say, okay, this works, we'll add different comparable things in other trees, and I think that's
like right to a lesser extent, the York is kind of like the next step in SPA. Like it's like a minor step, right? But with its airburst rounds and like it's
True.
It's like it's a way better SPA system where like I think your anti-air missiles like that will come next, but it'll the first missiles first of all weren't that accurate. Like I think your current like SPA should probably be more efficient when it comes to like countering at least
they
planes,
lack
like
the ones
like
they have now
helicopters
lack
or-
range. The York doesn't have
Yeah.
that much range.
Yeah, like okay, so like with aircraft, right? Or not like they'll probably be less effective, but with helicopters, like you might have that counter where you like they have the enemy team has like 2 helicopters. Like I need to counter those. Like let me spawn this a missile platform and I'll counter those. But with I think with you're dealing with FJs or like comparable airframes, like they're not going to be that good at countering those, which is good. I think you really need that like that rocks paper scissors shoot kind of element.
Planes counter fucking helicopters counter SPA,
Yeah, that's how it is in
which
reality.
is at the moment where planes are as hard as they are to spawn and helos are as easy as they are to spawn. It's a weird situation, but
Agreed.
if planes are a bit easier to spawn, they will easily stomp out helicopters.
Yeah, that's the fine line.
There is a fine line, and I think it's a bit weighted too much in Helo's favor at the moment, especially with being able to get into a Helo at the start. But maybe even just increasing Helo spawn points, so it's less likely to see any sort of aircraft. Rather than lowering planes to make it easier to access the counter, raise Helos so it's harder to get the thing that needs to be counted.
Cat, you just want Dancer to sub to you. Like, let's be honest.
What do you mean?
No,
His
it's
hate for helicopters
he's
is
just,
a
yeah,
joke, but
he's just making jokes in chat. So I have
Planes do counter Helos, do you?
no, they do. Fuck, I lost my train of thought. I had something, and I lost it completely. I don't know where I was going with
like,
it.
you going for questions or like what's happening?
No, I was gonna say something. I had an idea. It was a good idea. It's gone.
What you sure, dude?
It might not
was
be
a
a good
great
idea.
idea.
Maybe I should have just
You
kept my
don't
mouth
remember
shut.
it, dude.
Jesus. No, it was, I don't know. It was something about helicopters. Fucking lost it. Oh, no. This is seriously something that we haven't talked about, and it's true. When you're in a fucking jet, do you think you would hear a helicopter that loud?
Oh, fuck no.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
How easy is it to know when a helicopter's around? Because you just hear like wherever you go in that side of the map, you're like, oh fuck, there's a helicopter.
There's a helicopter here somewhere. Let me just
Yeah.
dive down and try and find the dog.
So
Okay, To be honest, like old helos, like the ones we're currently dealing with, like their exhaust system sucks. Like they're super loud. You can hear
Yeah,
them
but
miles.
you're in a
Like
MiG
probably even like a
17
gun.
going 1,000 kph. You're not
Probably
hearing
like
whoa, 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 like as loud as you possibly could. I think they should
yeah,
lower the
okay.
sound a little bit. Like
Yeah, a little bit, but you could hear them for miles. Like they're super
oh,
loud.
I understand that. I get that. But you know what else is loud? Your earphones while you're a pilot and your fucking jet engine behind you, moving at
Even close.
1,000 kph. You know, that's what I'm saying. Like that's the whole idea. Like maybe if you're in a prop, you can hear them a little louder. But I
Prop's
think that
louder than a jet, dude.
yeah, but dude, I think helicopters are a little too loud. That's the point I was trying to make. I think they're just a little too loud. If you go in a cockpit, yeah, but we're not in cockpit. I think that the sound should simulate like you are in a cockpit to some extent. You know what I
Yeah, to a
mean?
degree, yeah.
If you're in
Well,
third person,
they wear double hearing protection. Pilots wear double hearing protection.
you know, I don't think you shouldn't be able to hear anything, but I think like the sound of a MiG behind you shooting cannons is
Way louder, yeah.
is still quieter than helicopters being maybe 500 to 1,000 kilometers away from you. It's like
I will say,
or
like,
a
modern helos
1,000
are
meters
super
away.
quiet.
What?
So
They're quiet
across
much like you're
across
in
the
the
board,
direction.
across the board, without any sort of hearing protection, you're looking at 100-ish decibels in the cockpit of a jet, and a helicopter you're looking at 87 to 78 decibels.
Yeah.
Add to that distance, add to that the speed that you're moving.
Yeah, you get what I'm
You're
saying.
gonna
I
get
just think
him.
I'm not saying you shouldn't be able to hear helicopters in a jet in third person flying an RB, but I just think that they're a little too loud. Like you can literally fly. You could be maybe 2K above them and you'll hear them. You'll hear it on the ground.
Yeah, it shouldn't be the
You
case.
know what I mean? Like you'll hear it like it's in your ear. I think that they need to like lower that a little bit because helicopters are, you know, supposed to be stealthy. That doesn't mean they shouldn't be loud for the ground tanks, but they are also quite loud for ground tanks too. Taking into consideration you're in a fucking moving tank surrounded by armor. You can't really hear outside the tank. Like if I'm outside of an Abrams and I'm like, "Yo, what's good, Gunner?" He's not going to hear me. You get what I'm
No, have you heard of Abrams? Like, have you been around Abrams? Like, they're actually pretty quiet. Like, it's weird.
No,
they're
no,
weirdly
but
quiet.
I'm just saying like if I'm outside of a tank yelling to a
They're
dude
not
inside the
quiet,
tank, they
dude.
can't really hear me.
Quieter than the goddamn Huey, dude. Like Huey's
Yeah,
are
but
super loud.
Yeah, but if I'm stood next to a Challenger,
I'm not saying that you should remove helicopter sound. I'm just saying they're a little fucking loud. They're a little loud. They give away
if I'm stood
positions
next to
way
a
too
Challenger
easily.
saying, "Hey, you motherfucker, trying to fix your track. Tell your driver to back up fucking 3 or 4 feet so I can get access to a few more of the track links here, and I've got to do it all with fucking hand signals." Tanks are pretty loud.
They're
Well, a
loud.
Challenger's definitely louder than a.
You don't have the
Abrams.
Charlie.
I've been. Yeah, I've only heard of D72. Like I'm gonna compare like that diesel like engine. Like dude,
Stood
that
next
shit
to
is
both.
super loud.
No, but they're loud. I understand that. But what I'm saying is when you're in a tank in a ground force match, I think you hear helicopters too loud. I think they're too loud. I think they give away their position too easy, and it kind of makes people want to just be at like 10K and snipe people down. I
I think
understand
like
it because
modern helis are deceptively quiet. Like I don't know how like a Viper sounds. Like I have no idea. I've heard like Blackhawks.
I've heard
Apaches,
Hueys.
like
I've heard Hueys fly. They're loud, no doubt. They're
yeah,
loud
they're
as shit.
loud as shit.
Yeah,
But like Vipers and or
but
I
there's
don't
a
know about
difference
Vipers, but, like,
between
Apaches are super quiet.
in game. If I'm in a tank, as far away as I've heard a Huey in real life, it sounds louder in game. While I'm in a tank,
Yeah, probably.
you get no, not probably. I'm telling you, I'm 100%. I just think that helicopter noises are a little too loud. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying like turn them off for people on the ground. I'm just saying like there should be an element of stealth. Maybe you shouldn't if he's within 5 kilometers of the battlefield. Maybe you shouldn't hear him like he's over top of you because you do now. That's what it sounds like. If you're in a game and there's a helicopter, you know immediately.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
You know, like maybe give them some element of stealth. You know, and use the whole idea.
War
Well,
Thunder, like
you're in
isn't
a
like
tank.
the tank supposed to have me like a. I never feel like I'm in a tank when I'm in War Thunder. I feel like I'm more just like an infantry troop, just in a tank.
Yeah, I feel like I'm floating above it.
Yeah, like.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I don't
It's
know.
more arcadey than like Steel Beast. But I'm just saying that I think the helicopters are a little loud. So like when you're
Yeah, I
engaging
agree
them
with
in jets, you can hear them super easily. You just fly over, and then you hear whatever helicopter spawned in. You'll know when they spawn in if you're flying in the area of their helipad. You'll just start hearing the helicopters immediately, and they won't even be close to you. I understand if you're super close, but also it's directional. It feels like they don't have a directional thing. I think it's like a sphere of noise that they create that goes like across the entire map. Where
Like,
in real life, like I think if you're underneath the helicopter, it's louder than if you're like side on or above it. You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't play top tier that much, but even when I've been playing, with the H1Gs, or is that the right one? The 8.0 helicopter. Like
Gee.
within like less than within I don't know 20-30 seconds of spawning in, I can hear them, and they're
Yeah.
like miles and miles away, and you can tell exactly the direction. And it's like everyone like just coming out the spawn stops and looks at them and tries shooting them down, and they don't really get very far. And it's like that's probably not. I agree with like they should really be a lot quieter.
Yeah, I'm not saying remove the sound. They sound great. And even when you're piloting one, though, think about how much louder it is than anything else. You're telling me that a jet engine that is right in front of my camera is going to be way less loud than a helicopter? You know what I mean?
It's
You're
very
literally
loud.
thrusting
The
fucking
sound of
molten
them
air.
as well. Like over distance, that the sound of helicopters gets distorted.
Yeah,
It just echoes over the landscape. It doesn't. It's not like a direction
yeah, exactly.
point of sound.
Depends on their exhaust. Like you can hear like an old helicopter from like
No.
a bit away.
Not really.
No, you can. Like that's just how that why they're shitty. Like compared to new.
I mean, I still just think that for War Thunder's perspective, because it's not a super
I
realistic
mean, every time
game.
I've ever heard a Merlin, every time I've ever heard a Chinook, and it hasn't been in direct line of sight, you can't tell where it's coming from. You can look at a hill and go, it sounds like it's somewhere over there, but you have no idea of knowing. Like, you're looking in an arc because it's
Yeah.
just an echo. It's not a specific sound.
Agreed. I just think that they should lower that. And yeah, that was my idea. That was my great controversial idea.
I'm a fan.
Let's remove helicopter sounds, make them stealth machines, add AA.
When are we gonna get the Comanche, dude? Like if they had the Comanche, like come on now, it's so good looking.
It is good looking. It's also a failure. So
Yeah.
I don't know. But
We got the Sergeant York, and the Sergeant York's a failure. So
that hurts.
Oof.
Just because it tried to kill generals doesn't mean anything. Just because it didn't know what side was which, you know?
This toilet's like threatening, dude.
But yeah.
how hot was that toilet that it needed an exhaust? Come on. Are you eating?
I think this was a good cast.
It's like 2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours. Hell yeah, brother.
It's a long time, dude.
It's a long
Oh
time.
yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, brother. So yeah. I thank you guys for joining us. I'm sure we all appreciate it. If you guys don't know, Croc doesn't exist. Oxy has a YouTube channel, and Kath streams. The links will be found in the stream and on the posted podcast when it gets posted to YouTube. What? That's you who has to do that, Croc.
Can I post my own?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, there you go. That me.
Yeah, go follow that
That me.
if you're new.
Yeah, sub to Kath when you can.
Yeah, sub to Kath.
Stream.
Go sub to Oxy. Go sub
Get
to
Oxy to stream, dude.
go sub to me.
I've been trying. Yeah, don't sub to you, dude.
Yeah,
But sub to
actually
Oxy.
dislike all of my videos. I like it. I get off on it. And yeah, so we do this podcast every Sunday, 12 p.m. EST, 5 p.m. GMT. Talk about War Thunder shit, dope stuff happening. We take ideas from the community, and we put it into a perspective of people who have played this game for far too long, which is, I think that's the best way to sum it up. We've all sunk way too much time into War Thunder. That's what 2 hours later has told me. Helicopter sounds are stupid.
The whole time.
What I've learned is helo sounds are way too loud.
I've been playing the G55S the entire time, and I forgot how good it was.
I'm actually selling my account.
Ah.
But yeah. Are you streaming, Kat? Are you gonna stream?
No.
Damn.
Stream some
I don't
squad,
think
dude.
so. I think I might later.
You guys should play some squad. Everyone should play some squad.
You
I'll
have
purchase
squad?
it if you guys are actually gonna play it. I'll buy it.
I'll play
Guys
more
wanna play?
squad. I'd be down. But I am going to end the stream still. I have to go take a
Yeah,
piss.
End the stream, yeah.
I'm done. I'm ending it.
Like pick it up on the cast stream. Now let's go.
You guys should go pick it up on Cast Stream. So go hit that link. Oxy, you got to link yourself too.
Oh, damn.
Be a
Oxy, fucking stream, dude.
Be a self-promoting cunt.
I've been trying to make Oxy stream for the past like 2 days, and it just hasn't worked yet.
Croc is Croc is old enough for squad, I think.
I may well take the night. I may well take the night off of it. And if I take the night off, then I'll be playing squad in a bit.
Do
But
it.
I need to decide whether I'm going to do that first, and I have about an hour to do it.
Well, go make your decision. I am going to end the stream. Thank you guys again, everyone, for joining us. It's our pleasure, I think, to do this. We love just
I think
talking
so.
about the Thunders.
Just doing a little bit of speculation.
And go sub to Oxy, go sub to Kath. And every time you see
That
Croc in
means something
game,
very different on Twitch.
nope. And then every time you see Croc in game or in person or in the stream chat, just know that he's not real, and you despise him. Off the
Got
get-go.
no place to go anyway.
I mean, this is the first time that he's been here out of the month that we've been doing it. So
3 weeks, so it's not a month yet.
It is a
the
month
fourth
now.
episode,
If
dude.
this is the fourth one.
Shit.
you fucking
Months
mom.
or 4 weeks, right? No, it could be 5 weeks, but
Oh my.
Like I said, he's not real. He doesn't even know what a time zone is.
Croc can't read a 24-hour clock.
He thinks the world is flat
dude,
still.
that's all I
It's
operate.
crazy.
Yeah, the world is flat. Like you just don't know any better, dude.
Oh, the world's a fucking donut?
We're surrounded by an ice wall, dude. Like just get with it.
The
Get with
world's a
science.
bagel, and that's why it's shit.
All right. On that note, I'm ending this. And we probably won't be back next week. Kath will die. In the meantime, bagels are the best
I
donuts.
hope so, dude.
All right. Bye, guys. Bye. Have a great time.